Hello, friends. Welcome to the Tell It Like It Is podcast. I'm your host, Alexi Bailey. I have a very special guest today, Sydney.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time. I'm glad we made it happen.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So I labeled it Sydney the Historian.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Yeah. What in history are you most excited about?
Well, okay, I'm going to branch off with that word.
Yeah.
Excited. I'm always excited to study history because I do look at it in its past compared to what's going on now. So I'm excited to see the future of history and what that holds. But my most exciting field would definitely be, especially the Atlantic slave trade, and then kind of skipping all the way to the Reconstruction era. I feel like they were the most pivotal times for African Americans.
All right. So Reconstruction is reconstructing after the Civil War.
Yes, the Civil War.
Got it. So the Civil War ended in what year?
Honestly, you got me. You caught me.
I'm not sure.
And neither am I.
After the Civil War ended, basically African Americans thought they were going to be free.
Yes.
They were told they were going to be free.
Yes.
Right. And America was this. I was going to say destroyed, but there's a lot of damage, a lot of lives lost, and it was reconstructing because they had to reincorporate the South into the Union.
Yes.
So what about that time period really stands out for you?
Honestly, the whole story. Okay, so if I have to go off memory, I would definitely say I believe the Civil War ended in 1965. Either started or ended there around those times. What's crazy about the Reconstruction era is during the Reconstruction era, we were really looking to administration for help. But sometimes think back, we won the Civil War. Why are we looking for help? Usually the winner gets their winnings, and our winnings were to be free, and they promised us a bunch of things. So I find it very interesting. For one, we won the war after doing all that, and we still had to fight for rights to even be helped. Like, I know, like everyone knows, that's when we were promised that 40 acres and a mule. That's where that quote comes from. And it's like, we did not get that. And the fact that we did not get that, it set our family heritage back so far. We don't have land and houses in our family to keep on for generations.
Right.
But what races do.
Right.
So that Reconstruction era, like I said, we were really looking for administration for help. I think that it did change from Lincoln, but we still looked for Lincoln for help. I think we knew the next presidential candidate, which I don't like to say the name of, we knew he was not going to help us.
The one after Lincoln?
Yeah.
Madison?
Yeah, pretty sure it's Madison.
Is he terrible?
Yeah, it's terrible. He's there. He's pretty much the one that revoked the 40 acres. Like, right. It was in Lincoln's plan. But
Right. So some people actually did get their 40 acres, and then he started taking it away and these kinds of things. America has a very, very interesting story, right? And still, America's a young country.
Yeah.
And most people, so I like to understand both sides of the coin, right? There are smart people who are like, well, America's still trying, like, and there's other people who are like, no, America's the devil. They hate Black people, like, that kind of thing. So I think the reality is most people believe in slow change and slow progress kind of thing. Ooh. Let it out.
Yeah. Honestly, you did provide another perspective saying that America's young. And I do, okay. But like, America's not a nice country. From how they treat their own people to how they treat other countries, how we are when we're in war, how we are in a Cold War, in a stalemate, in a regular war, like, we're just so mean of a country. We're not a nice country. And I get it. Like, a often perspective that clashes is with African Americans who are here in America compared to like other people who are not from America, whether that be they're from an island or anything like that. it's looked at as America. Like people have said to me, like, why do you hate this country so much? I came to this country and I've loved it. It's provided opportunity and it does, but it doesn't provide opportunity for African Americans, the ones who were brought here on a, like against our will to live here, and they're not even providing anything.
Right.
So it's like just from that standpoint, like I respect the perspective that someone else is providing for me, but with my perspective, like I'm I'm here and you're not doing anything, which is essentially what you wanted. You wanted, well, did they want African Americans here or did they just want slaves? It's a difference.
Right. So where are you now with all of this?
Honestly, I just take America day by day. I honestly think that with the Trump administration, you just had to take it day by day. You didn't, with him being a leader who went to social media for most of his platform and me blocking him on that, you just take it day by day because
Right.
you don't know. It's I think America is in a very unstable place, whether people want to admit that or not.
Do you have faith in America?
As far as what perspective?
Like, just speak to that. Like,
No, I think I don't have faith in America because it's too capitalistic. And in order for us to reverse capitalism, we will literally have to start the whole universe over again.
so you think the only way to solve America's problems is to do away with capitalism?
No, I think that's one of America's problems.
Yeah.
But I think that's the main problem because it goes so much into our everyday, every single thing that we don't even realize it. But it's one of the things, it's a start.
What's your issue with capitalism?
You know, everyone's issue with capitalism, you don't like it until you're a part of it.
Okay.
And I think my main thing with capitalism is this is the point of it, but it doesn't give everyone an opportunity for in any way, shape, or form. Jobs, healthcare, schooling, us being able to work in this library room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it it has to be something. It's always something there. You know what I mean? Like I can't just go to college for free. I can't just.
So capitalism has a lot of people who say that it's better than everything else available because everything else available is worse.
In what regard when you say everything else?
I mean, don't get me wrong. The other side of that is Europe has capitalism and they're able to send people to college.
Yeah.
You know, there are other countries that have capitalism that do have better access to opportunities and resources.
Very much, yes.
Absolutely. So I can comfortably say that there's different versions of capitalism.
Very much so.
Capitalism, you know, can work differently in different countries.
I think my problem with America's capitalism is like it doesn't help at all. Like I think that if you want to be capitalistic and greedy, you can still help others. Like even in
Right.
your own way. Like,
Right.
okay, if you send someone to college, like in the back of their mind, they'd be like, oh, this is a tax write-off. Like it's it's so sad because in America's capitalism, you either conform or like you try to conform, which is like working your way up that chain to be able to capitalize. Like I have no way to capitalize right now.
I totally agree with you. Like I get it, you know, like I think people on the bottom see things differently than people in the middle, and people on the top see things differently, right?
Yeah.
Everyone sees it from their perspective. And that's a part of the show, right? The idea is to hear different people's perspectives. I really try to get people in the middle and people at the top to chime in as well. And, you know, obviously, I don't know a lot of them. But,
Yeah.
you get a sense of what they're thinking from the media, from what their representatives say, and those kinds of things, right? And from their actions.
Yeah.
So I think America is a pull yourself up by your bootstraps kind of place. And they would say that, oh, well, you have the ability to go make yourself an entrepreneur, a millionaire, a billionaire using your ideas. Like
You know,
Sydney can.
and that's where capitalism comes in, because when you said your comment about people from the bottom and people from the top being different, having different perspectives, I have no problem saying I came from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to work, my family has had to work to accomplish what we have, and I'm
Mhm.
grateful for that. But I can say, I think whether it be a personal thing or, like you said, being from the bottom, people from the bottom can see all the perspective, but why is it that people from the top can't see all the perspectives?
They see it. They definitely see
I
it.
don't think
What
they
is it
do.
they don't see?
For one, the fact that, I had this conversation with before, like you said, that someone can capitalize off their ideas.
Mhm.
All right, let me throw something to you. Say, for example, you say to me, "Hey, Sydney, like we met. You're working. I have a show. Come on here and talk."
Mhm.
You said to me, "I live in Trenton, which is known as an inner city.
Right.
I don't have a car.
Right.
How would I get here? It's snowing out. What if I don't have bus money?
Right.
What if I don't have no one to give me a ride just for me to get here to say my ideas for it to be known out in public? Oh, your ideas. Okay, we have a phone. What if I can't pay for my phone bill? That's a realistic thing.
So people at the bottom have less access to the
Everything.
things that they would need to pull themselves up.
Yes. And I get it that's you may not be able to see that perspective, but that's what I'm saying. I think that people at the bottom can see
But-
all the perspectives.
So here's the other side. And
Okay.
I'm playing devil's advocate here, right? You have people like in the 60s and the 50s who were able to start huge companies, and they didn't have what you had.
Mhm.
Like you had more than what they had when they started those companies. So yes, you don't have as much as, someone from a well-to-do family, but you have a lot of things. And that's what pull yourself up from the bootstraps means.
But the thing is, like, how do you pull yourself from the bootstraps when some people don't even have boots or straps?
I'll give you an example.
And
right?
then also, like you said, for your example, that people in the 50s and the 60s, we have more resources than them. But also, we have to look in a perspective. 50s and the 60s were totally different.
Mhm.
50s and 60s, the economy was still the type where a man alone could go and get a job as a painter, selling shoes,
Mhm.
something lower class of that matter. Degrees weren't still needed, and he could still provide for his entire household. So I think even that perspective it's a generationally different thing, because while we may have more resources, times aren't the same. Gas and electric doesn't cost the same.
So
Food doesn't cost the same.
So all right. So I'm with you. We're on the
Okay.
same page. It sounds like you're just making like excuses and you're just whining about it.
Me?
Yeah, that's
My
what you're
excuse-
saying right now.
No.
You're saying like, oh, what if I didn't have bus fare? What if I didn't have a
No,
phone?
these are
Like,
real. These are real things. These are not hype.
there are people out there who don't have bus fare, who don't have a phone, who get a job, who save up money, get an apartment, they buy a car, they start a business. There are people who are doing that right now.
Very much so. I do.
So my
believe
point
it.
is, the people at the top, that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying to us. Like, you have so much. Like, what are you complaining about? Take what you have, flip it, and grow yourself. Like, stop complaining about what we have, because our great grandparents grew themselves, and that's why we have what we have.
Okay. So then I would counter argue, get a job. How do you apply for a job?
Go to the library, get on the free computer, and get a job.
What if I can't go to the library? Trenton only has one library.
So here's the deal. Some people have to walk 20 miles to get to the library.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have a car to get to the library.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't know how to read, okay? There's always a way. You can't read, but you can walk around and ask people.
Is there always a way?
I mean, I'm just providing you their argument.
Yeah.
And if you ask me, I think so.
And the thing is, their argument is how capitalism keeps going, by thinking that everyone can make a way out of what they have.
I mean, don't get me wrong, right? Looking at the statistics, it's not fair, okay? They take taxpayer money and they're not evenly distributing it, okay? I'm playing devil's advocate, but I could say that, neutrally. Like, clearly, they're not, in my opinion, distributing the taxpayers' dollars even, and that's a real issue.
Mm-hmm.
So you're pointing your finger at things like that, and I'm saying yes, those things are happening. What?
Well, not even focus on taxpayer dollars. We're just focusing on like the basics of me being, if I was in a situation, being able to get a job so that.
Were you born here?
Yes, I was born in New Jersey, raised in Trenton.
So you have a lot of privilege.
Do I?
Yes, you do. Did you go to public school?
No.
You went to private school.
Yeah, my family had to work to go to private school because Trenton public schools were not.
And you're not sure if you're privileged?
No, I know that's a privilege.
You're privileged.
No, that part. The thing is, with me having this conversation, I know that I am privileged and that I have a good life. Even saying that I came from the situation that I came from, I would definitely like to say that. There are definitely people in the situation that I'm in are in a worse situation, and I don't want to say that to invalidate.
How many of your classmates you would say are doing well? How many of your classmates are struggling?
Well, the thing is, to be honest, I don't know, because we don't really tell those things.
Right, but
if I had to base it on like social media and they're what they're going through, they're doing great.
Right. So you're speaking. I mean, I'm with you.
I'm speaking from a personal perspective. I don't mind getting personal.
What is capitalism not doing for you? What capitalism is not doing for me is I consider myself a knowledgeable person, but because of the situation that I'm in, I can't continue to get my college degree. Because capitalism is... Because for one, if you don't get the amount of grades or the amount of GPA or SAT scores, which some people are not good at standardized testing, which is capitalistic, you can't go to a certain college. But yet, all these jobs, I know from someone that works at LinkedIn, they told me to hire incoming interns. They're looking at the top 25% from a corporate job like LinkedIn. If I didn't do good on my SAT scores or didn't get a good GPA or I got one bad grade in high school, in order for me, first of all, let's talk about the affordability of SAT classes and SAT prep classes. Capitalism. Because the fact that you're making me take this test, but then gonna say, oh yeah, it's a little hard. You got to prep for it on your own. The schooling we make you go through, it won't prepare you for it. You need an extra little bit of money to be able to do well on these classes or these tests. You take your SATs, you don't do that well, but you're still trying to go to a top university. We're in Princeton, New Jersey, let's say Princeton. That's capitalism right there. And then the fact that there's financial aid stipulations in a country where... So let me say this, right?
Yes.
This is America. This is 2022. America has a history of slavery, racism, these kinds of things, right? And I think America is... I think there are different groups of people in America, right? I think there are people in America who like, oh, racism's wrong, racism's bad, that's not cool. Very clear. And they're like, we don't want to be a part of America that's, killing people or, preventing people from getting opportunities to move forward. So I can say, I know there are white people who feel like that, right? And then there's also white people who are worried about their status in America and America remaining a white country and all of these different groups and people of color taking over the...
Ooh, see, because that's that critical race theory that's getting hyped up right now. That really gets to me because I get it. America has a history of racism where your ancestors may be known for the part of the racism, slavery, and everything, every other ism that African America had to undergo. And they're like, oh, I don't want this to be taught. I don't want my children to feel guilty. That sounds like a personal problem. And again, white superiority. It's not my job or anyone of color to say to you, it's okay. We don't consider you like your ancestors. That's not my job. That's not this hot chocolate must have been stoked. That's not our job. That's not anyone's job. That's where your self-reflection needs to come in. And because the thing is, that it's really literally not my job, especially for a country that believes so much in religion, like God can judge. That's not for me to, and even if it wasn't a religious concept, that's again that white superiority and that white savior complex and all of those things where it's like, I don't want my children to be taught this. What about our history is not even being taught correctly in these schools?
All right, so you're talking about critical race theory, right?
Yeah.
Right? And I mean, I think critical race theory basically, at some point, the idea is to teach young people about what really happened in America and how that impacts what's happening right now. And I think some people are saying, hey, let's not taint our children's minds with these things. Right? Let's not taint the children's minds with these things, right? And you know, when most of us were growing up, and I came to America 8th grade, I don't think there was a sense of like they don't teach you the vicious stuff. They don't teach you the dehumanizing things. They kind of just gloss over that, and they just say Christopher Columbus came here and he brought food and did it. So they kind of gloss over those things. And you know, critical race theory is saying no, tell them the real thing, right? And what are you saying about that? They should.
Yeah. Because that's again where that white superiority is coming in. Your white kids are not the only kids in this class. If my kids are in your class, they deserve to know. Because ultimately, I don't know if you've seen how far they're going as far as writing school boards to say we don't want African American history taught in our anything. And for one, to try to remove that, again, white superiority, and two, it's just that selfish mindset of like, my kid is in this class, they don't need to learn that. My kid of color is in this class, and whatever you're going to teach them about history,
See,
I want them to learn that.
I think that's a part of the problem with integration too.
There was no integration.
Well, now you have a Black kid and a white kid in the class, and the white parent is saying, I don't want my kid learning Black history. And you're saying, I want my Black kid to learn Black history. So now, you know, because of this integration.
If this is a problem, I think that clearly shows that the world never integrated. We can call what we've seen in history integration based off the definition, but if we're still arguing what's going to be taught in a racial concept, this country never integrated, because that shouldn't be a topic.
I mean, but that's what I'm saying. Most people will acknowledge that America has a lot of problems still.
And yeah, they do, but that's the thing, like, another part of white superiority and capitalism, they don't think America has problems. They look at America's problems as choosing the next presidential person so that they can really think that what they're getting what they want. America's problems is me making sure that I can take the bus to get to work, because the bus don't run at 5:30 in the morning everywhere, and I have to be there. So that's what I'm saying. People at the top, they don't see that. I know you said get a job. And back to that conversation, Trenton has one library. If I can't make it to that one library, or it's closed for whatever reason, like for now, I don't know if many people know that, the mayor of Trenton has unknowingly decided to close down Cowwater Park. And you may say, what's the influence? Cowwater Park is the park everyone goes to for physical activity. We have no other really bigger park where we can have a social gathering. And granted, it is COVID times, but it's outside. And for one, if it wasn't a social gathering, Cowwater Park is known for workout classes. It's snowing. I can remember my earliest childhood days, my mom taking me to Cowwater Park, going down that hill, because that's the exposure and where we can go to play in snow in areas like that. So it's like, I get it, but then let's also look, in these times, you don't hear back from employers quickly.
He's closing the park, or trying to close the park? Say it.
I don't know. If I had to give a guess, I'm going to say something innocent and say maybe we don't have the funding to continue to provide security and other safe resources.
Is that what he's saying?
He hasn't said anything.
He just announced that
No, he didn't announce it. He put barriers in front of if you go down to Trenton, New Jersey and Cowwater Park, there's kind of like main entrances you can go in to get into the park. There's barriers in front of it. So while he has said it's not closed, putting a barrier in front of something where people need to go to enter, yeah, we
Right.
can walk through the park, but you're closing it. It's no known reason.
Wow.
Everyone is talking about it.
How
So
long has that been?
to our knowledge, we just found out about it this week or last week, but we don't know how long it's been closed. So it's like, I get it that, okay, someone from the top saying, you're frustrated, go outside and play. If I live in the inner city, where am I going to go play? And if my township park is closed,
You're right. Okay.
where am I going?
Okay.
And then
So-
also, like you said, with people from the top saying, go get a job. It takes a long time to hear from employers nowadays. I don't know if people know, but like, so that job.
Wait, let me ask you one question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one question. Can someone get a job now?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, it's hard.
Yes,
they
it's
can
very
get a
hard.
job.
Yes.
So what do you say?
What do I say?
You're saying it's hard, and I'm like, okay, it's not supposed to be easy. You're trying to get a job. Like, you're saying like, oh, it's hard to get a job. That's okay. It's hard to get a job, but you can get one.
You can get one, but if I have bills that constantly need to be paid, and I have things like you're saying, oh, take the bus to get to work. If I have no one else in my corner and I need help and I don't have a job, how am I then getting to work to continue to repeat that cycle? Like it's
Okay.
a line.
So you're frustrated, and you're saying that it's not fair, and it's just,
Yes.
it sucks that it is what it is.
Yes.
Black people have been saying that for a long time.
Yeah.
So one of the reasons why I started the podcast is to echo that sentiment. And now the next question is, what do we do about
The thing is, that's okay. So as I know, you're the podcast host and you're the devil's advocate.
Mhm.
I want you to turn off that for a minute
Yeah,
and just,
I can,
oh, no,
sure.
I know. And just think about it in my mindset. What do we do? The person who's not at the top, the
Mhm.
person who may not have bus money to get to work. What do I do to stop this? You tell me.
You have to.
If I can't get a job,
you
I
have
have
to
no
try.
money. Okay.
You said you can get a job.
So if I'm applying to all these jobs, I can pull it up right now. I'm trying to get
It's
a
hard.
new
You
job.
said it's hard.
I have 89 applications in on my Indeed account. That's just Indeed.
Right.
I've only heard back from, let's say, 30.
Okay.
And that's not even to say like hearing back doesn't mean the job's a good fit for you. They may have more qualifications that narrows it down, that, oh, okay, we thought da-da-da. Yeah.
So you're still saying, hey, I have opportunities.
But they're not the same opportunities as the people from the top if everything's so fair. If everything's so fair, why am I sitting here without a college degree? And I know our personal contribution of our life choices does go to that. But if everything's so fair, why can't I essentially go to the same high school as a white person, Princeton High School, let's say, and get into the same college that they have? Oh, because they studied. I studied too when I went home. Oh, but I can't study when I go home because my parent may need me to help with the bills and get a job.
Right.
I may have to watch my brother and sister.
Let's be honest.
Okay.
I think most of us are comfortable saying life's not fair. And I think we've got.
See, I'm not comfortable saying that. That's why I took this chance.
When I said comfortable, I mean acknowledging that that's true.
Okay, yes, there you go. Yes, I agree with that.
So you can acknowledge that life is not fair, and it hasn't been fair. It's never been fair. Since we touched down in 1619, it has never been fair. So we're not sitting here asking for fairness, right? Because that's like 400 years later, snapping your finger saying, why can't it be fair today? Like it hasn't been fair for 400 years. Yeah. So that's not, I'm assuming that's not what we're doing, right? Your question that I threw to you, that you threw to me, is what do we do? So you're doing something, which is pulling yourself up by your bootstraps, trying to get more education, trying to work, putting yourself out there, doing different things to kind of grow yourself and these things. So that's what all of us should be doing.
But all of us can't. And it's not an excuse.
Stop
it's
saying
real.
You can.
See, no, that's that part of
you can,
that's
but
that
you can
part.
tell me it's harder. You can tell me it's not fair, but don't tell me you can't try. Everyone can try.
Yes, everyone can try.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Everyone can try. But again, I definitely understand what you're saying, but I think that a big part of conversations and peace where they need to jump is we're a part of a different generation. So I think one thing to already know is, I know people may joke, and I'm not sure if you've heard this quote, and this means no disrespect, we're not our ancestors. And I know from this generation, and not to say the other generation, for one, we're going through different physical and mental things that our ancestors did when we were enslaved 4 years ago. I'm not saying it's harder now or easier now. It's just different.
Right.
It's just different, plain and simple. They did more physical work. We're learning how to shoot. Back then, people used to unknowingly express that they didn't like them working in their workplace. Now we're trying to deal with it while staying in. We got to know people don't like us in our workplace. Try to stick with that job so that we have an income, but also stick with that job because the capitalistic part of, oh, why was there a break in your work history? But try. Sometimes people need to take a break in their work history to work on their mental health. Right. And that's what I'm saying. That's even a different notion with the generation now, because that generation didn't even focus on mental health. They don't even focus on the fact that as this newer generation, we need help with our mental health. They don't even focus on that in jobs. So I get it, but no, that's that part of capitalism that people don't remember, that you didn't try hard enough. Yes, I did.
All right, so what would you say to middle class America right now?
What's middle class America? Define the money margins. I want your complete definition.
A family household that's making 100 to 100,000 or more.
What state do they live in?
Anywhere in America.
That difference, because someone can struggle in California with a family of 4 and making 100,000 compared to Texas.
I would consider them middle class though. If you're in California, you have an annual income of $100,000. I would still, in my definition, I'm not, say that's middle class. What would you say?
And that's where, again, is a part of that capitalism. I don't know. Because each person's scenario is different. Give me more of their scenario. Like do they have their degrees? Are they like what is
if they own their own business, if they have a job,
okay, so you're telling me
more, like what does that matter? Because it sounds to me like
it matters because that's how America equates that capitalism. Like, are you saying in terms of racism?
So here's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Right? I'm saying so this person, this family of 4 living in California, they are making $100,000 a year. They would look at you and say, girl, it's hard for us too.
Mm-hmm. Every scenario, and that's again a part of the generational thing.
You sound upset.
The thing is, I think first of all, you giving an example of a family of 4 who's making $100,000 as an example is already capitalistic, because I've never made $100,000 in my life, whether I have a family of 4 or one person. Some people don't even make it to those margins. That's
right,
but
it sounds like when I'm listening to you, it sounds like you're saying this is not fair. You should be helping us. That's what it sounds like.
It's not that. It's just that America needs to switch their mindset to thinking that just because people at the bottom are at the bottom doesn't mean that I didn't try. It means sometimes.
So you would like to say, hey guys, people at the bottom are trying. That's what I'm just asking you. What do you?
And again, I say this, like I said, it's situational. There are some people who are at the bottom who aren't trying, and there are some people who are at the top who don't have to try, but their family already have money and they can sit home and do anything.
We're trying. This isn't fair. You should help us.
I don't think there could be any particular thing I could say just to a group of people. I would get to know their story because.
So this is your chance. Like, you're telling it like it is, right? You're telling people like, hey, sorry, I'm going to adjust this a little bit. Sorry.
And I think that's another perspective to think about. And you're saying, what should I tell someone?
No, yeah, like right now you're talking and you're saying, oh, this is hard. It's not fair. This is what I'm hearing. This is hard. This is not fair. The system's broken. So this is your chance. I don't know. You could be talking to lawmakers. You need to fix schools. You need to fix.
You're saying like this is me talking to.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I understand this. Okay, while I think also America, okay guys, let's go back to pre-slave days. America was already started on the notion, whether it was by the leaders or appointed officials, that we were going to bring other people who we already demised lower than us to come in and work for us. The system was already started on racism. So I say the only way we would get out of racism that we face, it can't be done only because of common sense. Like, just like our ancestors were still here, there are still racist ancestors here who still wish for people to be slaves, who wish for equality. So we can't really move forward because everyone's still here, and everyone who still feels unequal, they're still here as well. And not to say that's a problem, that is a problem when it comes to moving forward. So I say if there was a way to help America, for one, we all need to federally be on the same laws as a whole nation.
Mm.
For one example, California should not be legal just in New Jersey and California and other states on a regular enjoyment level compared to it being medical in another state. Mm-hmm. That already starts.
Cannabis.
Yes, cannabis. Right. Yes, that already starts an inequality because we can travel to other states, but then we have to remember their laws. While I don't think that's a problem, we need to get on the same forefront about majority of our rights and laws.
Okay.
It's so funny because this question is so tricky because it's so hard to decide the steps that America needs to take to make it a better place because it's just so rooted in control. Like, I could say that we need to federally be on the same laws when it comes to women's rights, but they're never going to make federal laws for women's rights attainable and equal because the country ultimately wants to control women's rights. You get what I mean?
Right.
It's tainted so far back that it's just like, if we did fix something, like I said to you, it needs to be on a situational basis. Like, there are obvious things to me that may not be obvious to everyone else that we can fix, like changing the amount of dollar per hour. It does differ per state because the cost of living per state is different, but living in New Jersey, $13 per hour, we're on the podcast. I don't want to pull up my phone. You do the math. Even if you work 8 hours a day, 7 hours a week, what does that equal to? That's not a living. And then you're saying, oh, playing the devil advocate, if you're a person from the top, you say, get a job. I got a job, but it pays $13 per hour. If anything, that's 30 to 30. If I worked 8 hours that skipped no holidays, didn't take off, that's 30 to 40,000. Living in New Jersey, mm-hmm. When people say, try, I got the job, I got the car, I'm doing this. Where is there a livable wage for $30,000 to $40,000? Rent alone in New Jersey is starting at $1,500.
Right. Okay, so one thing you're saying is we need to do something about the living wage. I'm trying to what
you said, like I said to you, I just take America day by day, because if you don't take it day by day, when you really, I feel like, know the true politics in of America, it can just be this huge cloud over you to make it seem like this country, like.
So the best thing to do is not think about it. Keep your head
down. No. The best thing to do is think about it. That's what I do, because I know, like you said,
the huge cloud over your head.
Yeah,
it's best not to think about it.
Exactly.
If you think about the huge cloud over your head, it'll weigh you down.
Yes, and that's another perspective. About it. Yes, and that's another perspective that even can be brought, that people at the top don't even look at politics or capitalism or any of the things we talked about a problem. Mm-hmm. They may say, what cloud? I love our administration, what's going on.
Do you though?
Oh no, I'm saying if they said that.
Oh, okay.
Me?
Yeah.
No. We're allowed to say names.
Yeah, of course. I encourage you to say names.
It's so funny because studying history, I've always looked at politics and their running antics, the things that people do to run. And so many people have said to me, what would you like to see? I want to see at least old politics where the president acts like he's going to be playing both sides from the administration and what real corrupt Caucasians want from the country. And then he's not following up with anything. Well, the things he promised us, Biden. Yes, Biden.
But that's not new.
It's not new. But I do think it needs to be talked about because he did announce that he's running for 2024.
Right.
And I think that that's important because while our previous president can still run, so can Biden. And then we're stuck in another situation like it was with Trump and Hillary. Let's just vote to not get the eviler of the evils in the office, but then what happened? That's capitalism right there. The fact that we're sitting here saying we want to vote to get the lesser of evils, not in the office.
So, all right, so there's a point, everything you're saying, I'm on board. There's a point when I think most Americans are like, this is all old. Like you're talking like this is new. So someone who's listening to this, they're like, girl, that's old. Like,
it's old, but the point is, it's new to me because I'm in my 20s and I'm
right.
still growing. So I do want to say that perspective.
Right.
It's new to me.
I'm not saying you shouldn't be upset.
Oh, of course.
You know.
But if I had to say it to someone else that this is all old, that's the point.
Right.
This is all old and we're still going through this.
Right.
Like, if you can't see that that's capitalism and systematic.
So then they would say, girl, this is old. We worked really hard and it's gotten a lot better. First you say thank you.
It's not good enough.
First you say thank you.
No.
And then you see like, look, we got you Obama. Look, we, look, we,
God,
we helping. Look, they're gonna tell you all the things like, look,
that mindset to me is the same mindset that thinks that people of color need affirmative action. Oh, you got us, Obama.
Meaning like America is trying to grow. We're trying to evolve.
Just because we got a Black president does not mean America grew. I think that that's important to be known. Like, we don't really choose our presidents. I don't think people really.
They're chosen for us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
we let you have a Black president. I mean, however you want to spin it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for letting us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Massa. You let us.
Exactly.
The more capital. Yeah. Yep. Okay. But no, I definitely get your point in saying that it's old. Not when I said that it wasn't enough, I don't mean it in a disrespectful point of view of our ancestors didn't do enough to fight. No, I will never take that away from that. What I'm saying is the things that white people think they allowed us to. You ever seen the movie The Hunger Games?
Of course.
When they were controlling everything and they were like, throw in the dog, throw in this. Like white people are controlling this whole, as people are saying, a matrix, and they throw in what they want to throw us just to make us happy. You got your Black president.
Yep.
You got your Black administration. What do you do? Come on.
Exactly.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Like I get it, it's old, but we're still going through the same problems. And while Caucasian people think that the first place they need to start, the first place they need to start is with their children in the classroom, because that racism is taught, and that's how we can't move forward, is because you're continuously teaching your children that racism, and we're trying to teach our children to move on, but.
So white people with most people, or there's some people who would say, the reason why Black people are where they are is because of how Black people act.
I think that's situational.
But the reason why y'all still where y'all are at is because of.
Again, here goes our white supremacy. And I know you're playing devil advocate. And however, I do know white people say that. What you mean by how Black people act?
They gave you public school. And y'all messed that up.
How?
We give you this, and you guys are fighting and arguing over Jordans, and we gave you a chance to pull yourself up, and you're not using it.
See,
you're too busy arguing and fighting, and with your loud music, and
while I can say that fighting is not good because it can be, it can bring down our own. Who said fighting was bad? That's another white standard that we're not acting.
But Sydney, this is what I'm saying. Okay. Rockefeller.
I get your point.
Rockefeller fought very hard to create a public school system. We now have a public school system. If every Black person was a focused student and did their homework, studied hard, learned to read and write, wrote books, wrote essays, and did everything, and they were model Americans and were doing well in math, English, and science, right? We would have more of a leg up.
No, no,
Yes, we would.
no,
That's me saying that. We would have a better leg up.
no.
The problem is that we have a victim mentality. So the opportunity's right there.
Why did we have to create that victim mentality?
Wait, the school's right there. The job is there. You know, your parents got a job so you can go to school. Everything is there for you.
But
Because of this victim mentality, you're not able to get out of the bucket. And so then you're like trying to point the finger at someone else. And you're not saying, hey, I could have studied more. Hey, my mom, you know, instead of buying me X, Y, and Z, I should have been doing swimming lessons. I should have been, my mom gave me whatever when I should have been. We're hearing less of that and more of the, they didn't do this for me.
yeah, I mean, I agree because, like I said, focusing on a generational point of view, I can say that my generation does expect handouts. And while I do not think, somebody might be watching this and like, to me, while I do not think I expect handouts, I think handouts and help are different. I would still challenge that mindset because, for one, generationally, times are different. Somebody could say, hey, we gave you public school, but back then, child labor laws weren't even a thing. So, like, they may have been, but let me not even go back to child labor laws because you said Rockefeller. I thought of like the Industrial Revolution. Let me move back. Right. I think we can't focus on that time. Like, we can for a context, but we can't compare it because, okay, you gave us public schools. For one, y'all gave us public schools and Ruby Bridges still had her problems. Anyway, and she's still alive. She's in her 60s. She was that? Ruby Bridges. When she was a little girl, she went
was one
to
of the integrated.
Yes, I know. If integration really happened,
right,
you know, she went to a school that was supposed to be properly integrated, faced hate, faced bullying, faced racism on a daily basis. She graduated, but I think the important part to say is she's still alive. She actually did like a show at Stewart Country Day School like 4 years ago, and she's in her 60s. That's the same public school that you gave us, since it's a give. You know, my child, who was she was I think 8 or 9 when that happened, had to worry about racism.
Right.
So for one, we can't even focus on those times because children were fighting racism in school. Children were barely being able to go to school because they had to work and help their families.
That's not what I'm trying to say.
No, I know, but I'm saying we can't compare that, I think, to right now. I think they eat, and I know, because you're saying that people are saying in my generation, but me. What about me? Yeah, you went through that, but we need help. I think what I'm saying is we can look at that time, but we can't compare it to then and now, because
here's what I'm saying.
That's what's
I graduated high school in 1999. Okay.
From where?
Jamaica High School in Queens, New York. Okay. And when I was going to school, I know people who were cutting school. Mm-hmm. I know people who would cut school and smoke weed. Okay. I knew people who would like cut school and go to like a cut party to go drink alcohol and have sex and do these things. Okay. So on some level, I know these things are still happening. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is there is a public school available for all Black people right now who are American, right? And I'm saying that a lot of us, because of our mentality, are not taking full advantage of these things.
You know, and that's where I keep saying it's a situational basis. So the earlier part of my education, I went to private school, but I went to public school from 10th to senior year in high school. So I did see the differences in the education.
The last 3 years.
Yes. So while I do understand your point of view, let's say, for example, someone goes to public school, like you're saying, and you're saying that there is a bunch of different programs for them to take place in that can make their life better, right?
Yes.
For one, high schools withhold information from different students based on demographics.
Sure.
So for example, I knew of this program that's at Princeton University called the PUP program, Princeton University Preparatory Program. I had a close friend to me. I lived in the township, which was Lawrence Township. It's looked at as a nicer township, but she lived in Lawrence, but knowing her real situation, She lived in Trenton as well. She was introduced to this program called Princeton University Preparatory Program, which essentially helped kids in their high school years get educational resources so that when they go to college, they will also get a stipend and a scholarship from Princeton and also get a free ride. Mm-hmm. My guidance counselor, who we had the same guidance counselor who was Caucasian, chose to tell her about the program and not me based on what they thought was our different living exposures. So while I get your jargon, we're still facing discrimination. It's so many programs and different things that I didn't know of in my own high school because of exposure and what they choose to keep from people. If you look at my high school yearbook, I was in everything. Yearbook club, a bunch of different things. I didn't just keep friends of one demographic, but still things are still kept from us, different scholarships, different programs for us to better ourselves. So I get that point of view. But no, everyone, and it's like, oh, your parents. Some people don't have parents to give them advice to say, check into that program, check in. The fact that we have to tell our kids nowadays not to do AP, but do dual language? No, dual, what is the word? No. When they're in high school, when you can sign up for community college and be in high school.
Okay, yeah.
The fact, I'm not trying to be, it sounds like you may not even know about that program and you have kids in high school.
I'm familiar with that,
it's things like that, like, okay, somebody, oh, you're in AP classes, you're known as knowledgeable. Yeah, I'm in AP classes, but when I take my AP test and I get that grade, that's not really doing anything for me. I'm at a collegiate level, but letting them know, again, capitalistic, that I can be held to a certain standard of my education. Oh, she was in AP, she can do this, we can skip this. Another, again, capitalistic, because this person in high school was able to take AP classes, they can skip some of their classes in their first year of college, I'm still expected to pay for them. That's one thing. The second thing is no, it's not, I get it. And I do not want to be that person in this generation that is saying it's not fair. It's not, but it's really not. I tried, and it's like, no, I get what you're saying, but it's situational. Some people don't have parents to say, hey, do this instead of this, right. Do this instead of that. And if you don't have the parents or someone along the way to help you and you're going to the school, all you know is just go to school, try to get good grades. I knew for myself, there was a situation when people say, go to school, get good grades. Because of the educational history our parents have, some of us don't even know how to study. While that can happen for all demographics, we don't have money for tutoring. Mm-hmm. We don't have resources for tutoring. Right. Hopefully our school that we go to do, but if it doesn't, it's the same for everyone, right?
All right, so I think you're saying it's not fair. And I'm agreeing with you 100%. Not fair. So we're in agreement on that. You can have two kids in private school. I'm talking about a $30,000 private school. One's gonna get whatever, and one might not get this. Things may not be fair. But my original argument that I was saying is because there's a public school now, everyone has an opportunity. There's places in India where an 8-year-old can't go to school. Period. You're 8 years old, you cannot go to school. Mm-hmm. There are places where you either have to work, or B, there's just no school for like 100 miles, right? So the fact that we live in a place where each person has a school, has a classroom, I'm trying to agree with you. It's not equal. A class in Princeton is not the same as a class in Trenton. I can tell you I know that's true. But what I'm saying is, you have a class in Trenton, don't buy Jordans, spend that $150 on some classes, on
that's
some
another
activities.
Thing.
I'm saying that I'm hearing you pointing a lot of fingers, and I don't hear you saying we as a community can do better.
No, I agree. We as a community can do better, but I think that the point is like, we as a community can do better, but the people at the top, like we were saying, don't look at us as their community. And
forget the people at the top.
Why that matters is because I know, like you said, there are public schools. But again, these public schools are started because of white standards, because of white people wanting to send their school. If public schools had to start
complaining grab what you got, utilize it.
I guess the point that I'm saying that, okay, yeah, we have public schools, but are they enough to help our kids? And
yes, they are.
No.
If y'all went every day,
sometimes people can't go to school every day. Sometimes people can't go to school every day.
We give you a Metro
Sometimes
card.
people can't go to school every day.
What else do you need to put that kid on the bus? Like, now it's our fault. You can't put your kid on the bus? Come on.
Yeah, it is.
Stop
it. It is.
Stop.
Because capitalism is, if I can't put my kid on the bus because school starts at 8:30 and I got to be to work at 8 and the bus is the only way they could get there because the school is miles away, I either got to be late to work, and capitalism is, if you're late to work, you get a certain amount of. What if I don't have a neighbor? What if I don't like my neighbor?
That's the problem.
What if I don't trust my neighbor with my child?
No one told you to have those kids.
That's true. Now that is something we do need to talk about.
Yes.
That in the African American community that can help us. We need to talk about how we need to know when we need to help ourselves before we have more children, and that having those children aren't going to help us.
That's all they saying.
No,
don't come with all your problems.
First of all, I know that's what they're saying, but we'll also shout back, stop trying to control women's rights and maybe we'll stop having children. But okay, you keep saying we can't have abortion, controlling our birth control, controlling this.
We're gonna come back to women's rights because I have something to say on that.
But it's that point I don't agree. I mean, I do agree because, I'm 26 and I see my peers having kids and stuff, and not to say they're not ready. I'm just shocked that it's like, no, I'm not going to judge. And that's what I'm saying. No, I'm not going to look at everybody's situation and say they're not ready to have kids because I'm 26 and I'm not ready to have kids. That's not true. I have peers.
See them struggling.
No, that's not true. I have peers that have their masters and their PhDs that are married and they can have kids because they can make that money.
Right.
That's what I'm saying, that America is now on a situational basis. Don't assume because
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I'm saying don't assume that America is on a situational basis. Like you were saying, like, what do we say to Americans? And in this generation, not everyone's in the same boat. And that's what I'm saying. Back in the day, it was pretty much known everyone doesn't have a degree. So everyone's pretty much making the same amount of money unless you are a manager or a supervisor. Right. Nowadays, there are so many differentiations of how much money that you can be making that no one except people, I guess to say, who are at the top, and not even then, needs to be looking at all cases the same. Because I'm not going to say that. I could say, no, I'm not ready right now for me to have kids. But my peers, they're like, I finished my degree. Like, I have a great job. I have my partner. We're married. Okay. We're ready to have kids.
That's good. A 2-family household with a degree and a stable job. You have some level of readiness.
Yeah.
But I thought you were kind of mentioning those single moms who don't have it together, who's having multiple kids. I thought you were about to go there.
No, that's the thing.
You don't have any of those.
No, because people can be in 2-parent households and it still be a single parent household.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I wasn't gonna bash just one, and I was raised in a single parent household.
I'm not here to bash.
Oh no, I know you're just saying things
but here's one thing that I do think. I do think African Americans in America have to be responsible. We have to take ownership. We cannot walk around saying Biden didn't do this, Obama didn't do this, the government is not doing. We passed that.
But are we, if the government controls so much of what we are allowed to do?
But this is my opinion. My opinion is we're past that. Okay. We had Martin Luther King and Malcolm X telling us clearly they ain't here for you. You should know it by now. Malcolm X told you they don't give a fuck about you. Yeah. That is point blank. So stop talking about what they're not doing and just be glad that they're not bulldozing your home and shoot you in the head. That's what he told us. He told us that simply. So now it's up to us to take the little bit that we have.
What happened to Malcolm X?
Wait, it's up to us to take the little bit that we have, treat it well, and run with it. And what I'm saying to you is, because you're upset and you're saying this is not fair, I'm saying it was never fair. We not doing our part. When they give us the underperforming public school, we need to show up there every day, help the teachers, and we need to show up there, help all the kids. Yes, this mom is on crack, so you got to help her kid. Okay, whatever the situation, this mom has to work 3 jobs, so we got to step up and help her, because her unruly son is going to mess up your kids. We have to step in and be there for each other. And to me, that's the only way forward. You cannot run around talking about capitalism isn't working. This isn't fair. Why I got to walk to. No, we're past that. Capitalism was never fair and it's gotten a lot better. So we need to say thank you for what we have and we need to pool together. That's the only way out. Otherwise, we'll be whining forever. That's what I think.
And again, like I said at the beginning of the conversation, respectfully, you mentioned to me you came here from Jamaica when you were in 8th grade. People who are African Americans and people who came to this country at a later date or not
different experiences
have different perspective on what they think this country is. And I do think, like, I get your point of view when it comes to the complaining, but okay, say Black people stop complaining and we do all those things you just named and it still doesn't help us. Then what?
It's stop talking about help us. That's when you stop going to the white laundromat and you open your own laundromat. That's when you stop going to the Asian grocery store and you open your own grocery store.
No.
What do you mean, no?
If it's thought that African Americans, let alone, have the same opportunities,
we don't.
Exactly. So what you mean go start our own grocery store?
Are you trying to say that if African Americans pooled their money together, they couldn't open their own grocery store?
If they pool their money together, yes. But the other part of capitalism that we read in history is there were times when Black people did try to afford for their own, but it would be times because, they can't be in that neighborhood. Let's monopolize it. No, you can't get approved for it. For whatever reason, you can't get approved.
Stay in Trenton. Stop trying to buy houses all over the place. You think that doesn't happen in Trenton?
There's a section of Trenton, West Trenton, and that's known to be predominant.
Don't go to the predominantly white section.
I'm staying in my town, making it better.
Yes.
This just sounds crazy because it just continues to sound like capitalism, and that's why I think I can't agree.
This is capitalism. You live in capitalism.
And no,
the only way
if it's one thing about me, I'm gonna live in capitalism how I choose to.
And struggle.
No.
Here's the deal. Capitalism is a game. You have to play the game to get ahead in the game. You're not going to complain your way into success.
Why are we even doing all this? Why do we even have to do all this when white people don't? That's the whole point.
You have to play the game.
No, I don't. I shouldn't have to. If y'all wanted to integrate me, if y'all wanted to bring my people over here, if y'all doing all of this, there is no game. And even when you play the game, you still can lose. That's the thing that people don't realize.
Sometimes you lose.
No, ain't no sometimes you lose because it's crazy. I don't see white people losing often. And if they do, they lost a couple million. Well, shit, I hope I get that much money to be able to lose it, to be able to gamble it. That's the thing. People don't realize you'll even play the game. One wrong move can set you back.
But it's not fair.
Yeah, exactly. You said what I said.
It's not fair. I agree. Listen. Malcolm X looked us in the face and told us integration wasn't good. He told us these white people don't care about you.
We never integrated. Integration, the definition and premise of integration of joining two different races to come together. That idea happened, but it never really happened because if it did, we would not be arguing my child needs to be taught this and my child doesn't when it comes to a historical aspect of people's history.
Right.
If integration happened, people would feel that's our school system. This is an integrated country. We're going to teach the history on anyone who comes in here. And the thing is, we should already know integration didn't happen because America came on Native Americans' continent and they're not even teaching the kids about that in school.
Right.
So integration never happened. Like I agree with what Malcolm X said, but let's even go back and not say reframe our mind and say that Malcolm X is wrong. Let's even challenge Malcolm X's quote to think to ourselves, did integration even happen if we're still going through these problems as people? So, if integration happened, we wouldn't be looking at white people, which we do. We all know we do that. We wouldn't be looking, granted, there are some Black people who are at the top. We wouldn't be looking at white people or people of non-color as an example and ourselves as the underclass if integration happened. We would all have those opportunities. We do not have the same opportunities.
So what you're saying is, if we had a just integration, equality, we were integrated honestly and fairly, if that had happened,
During the
we wouldn't
Reconstruction.
have the problems that we have now.
I think that I'm not going to say that that is the solution. I think
Right,
that
but
that
that's
would
what
be
you're saying.
a big portion of it, because,
Right.
and that's why I look at that Atlantic slave area, because that's when we were brought here. In Reconstruction era, going back to the beginning of our conversation, that was like a revival for us. The whole country was ruined, where the South was, and it was a chance for us to, this land is uncalled for. We too can come in, like administration told
Right.
us, but
So it sounds like it sounds to me like the promises of reintegrate, the problem of the promises that were made before the Civil War or after the Civil War, you're hugging on to those promises. Wait, I'm just and you haven't really touched on what happened after, because then you had Jim Crow, then you had those redlining, you had all of these different laws, and they weren't just laws, they were communities formed. The suburbs was a way to
not
the
even
suburbs was made to get away from Black people, right? That's what the suburbs were. It was made to get away from Black people.
I agree, but
So you're not talking about all of that. So you're still kind of saying, well, you said that, and
it's not
clearly since that it's been 100 years.
Yeah.
In the last 100 years, we've seen none of those promises kept. We've seen no integration. And what happened in the 50s and 60s was, segregation had made separate library, separate restroom, separate movie theater, separate everything. And integration said, this is not fair. You need to let Black people come to white people's stuff. That's what integration was. But when they let us come to their stuff, it was, now you get to come. We're here, you get to come into our stuff down here. You don't come where we're at. So what Malcolm X was saying was, instead of joining them here, let's stay over here and build we might be here on our own separately, but let's build ourselves up separately.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
So some of us, me included, see some benefit in that. Like, I would love to go to a Black only side of town, the Black only movie theater, the Black only whatever. All of that died out because we integrated. And now,
or it is because we integrated.
Now we still talk about, people like me, we still talk about, oh, I wish we had a Black only school that I could send my kids to. And that's what you're saying. We integrated, so the class plan should be integrated. It shouldn't be what white people want. It should be integrated, but it's still not integrated. So that's what Malcolm X was saying. Don't try to integrate into a burning building. Doesn't make sense. So that's the thing about Malcolm X that I liked.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
But I do recall a couple times in history when we did build our communities, but it was anonymously bombed by government leaders. I recall a story like that happening in Philadelphia and in Baltimore, where there were a community of Black houses, and they were bombed.
And you say that to say what?
Even when we do start our own communities, we were in Africa leaving ourselves alone. Let's think about that. We were in Africa leaving ourselves alone.
Right. I think. And
even if we didn't even go back as far as that, even like Malcolm said, even if I didn't go back to that, Malcolm, I said on first name basis, that's funny. But even if we did, there are times where we will go, and not in the same definition, far right or far left, to start our own communities, and people or the government or something will go out of their way to destroy it.
Absolutely.
That's where it gets difficult, is like, we try to start. We do start.
Do you think we should try again?
I do think we should try again, but where I'm saying it gets hard for us to try again is we don't have the opportunities. And I know people may be like we talked about starting when it came to this podcast, you just had to start. But like, if you didn't have the resources to just start a podcast, let alone your phone, what if you couldn't afford a cell phone? What
Right.
if you did not have a laptop? What if you didn't have all of these things and a ride to get to Princeton to just start? Because this is what you want to do. This is what the world needs, to hear a voice. And while I said I don't want to be that person that points the finger, if someone does want people to start, we need help. I know for myself, oh, we need more generationals with degrees. Guys, please help me. Please pay. I
Right.
will get a degree.
Right.
I know for me, I need help.
First of all, I would say that I said it at one point. I do think there are white people in America who do want to help.
Definitely. And that's another conversation. That's where I said that white savior complex came in, because if I personally think if you have common sense to say, I have a good mind and a good heart, and I know right now I would not enslave any other people or treat people any less because of their economic situation or their race, you don't have to be like, I don't want you to think I'm my ancestors. No, that's a personal thing you need to check. That's not our responsibility. And I agree that it does need to be. I think that in order for something that can help is if one was to say, we do not think that all white people are the same in the mindset of mean and not wanting to help. But it gets difficult because I do think there are white people that think all Black people are the same. So it's like, where does that equality measure? You don't want us to think that y'all are all the same, but y'all think we all the same because y'all, bro, it's a thing like, oh, you guys all look the same. No, we don't.
Right.
So I get that, but
so you acknowledge there's some white people who want to help, and there is a way forward with that.
Oh yes, I know white people who want to help. They've helped me, but that's why I said to you when you said not to buy Jordans for $150. When you're down, $150 helps, but that ain't that. My phone bill is $150, so I could try to keep that on. That's not going to change my life.
Metro PCS.
What if we don't have that near us? And Metro's pretty expensive.
It's getting up there, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like they do the whole thing like where you have to do like you sign up for what you want. Like you know how like Verizon and stuff are like you get unlimited data. Like I think Metro does a similar thing. And the only way you do get it cheaper is if you were to get like a plain phone, because ultimately they still have to charge you for this phone. You get what I mean? And that's where your cost comes in. So unless I was to get like an Android or a simple phone, which is a phone, can't really help me record.
This life's expensive for sure.
Yes.
Right. You said something that I have to touch on. And I think for me it's important because I think that, Black Wall Street, which got into a whole race thing in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yep.
It's been 100 years.
Yeah.
They just they just memorialized 100 years of that happening. So I think with situations like that, I think Black people are afraid to work together. I think so on some level. And I only bring that up because, like I said, I do think the only way out of this hole is for us to work together, period.
Yeah.
If white people see this and they start donating and we don't work together, it's not going to happen. You have to knock on each other's doors. And we have to work together. We have to say, all right, listen, so-and-so, she's an old lady, she needs this, we have to bring her meals. So-and-so is a single mom, she needs this, we need to help her with childcare. So-and-so is looking for a job, we need to see where we can help her get a job. We have to knock on each other's door, figure out what each of us needs, and we need to figure out, some people are gonna say, I don't want your help, I don't wanna participate in whatever you're doing. And some people are gonna welcome it.
And that as a whole is, if we left any part of capitalism behind, I would love for us to leave the part of capitalism behind of rugged individualism. Woodrow Wilson got that in our mind and we have kept that as a country. I agree, we need to help, but that rugged individualism, oh, I made it by myself, you need to do the same. And it's like, that's like a conversation now where like, people are like, oh, I want to see my kids struggle. No, that's that rugged individualism against your kids.
Right.
Why would you not want to help other people make it? Just answer that question right now. Why would you not want to help other people make it if you've made it? Even to your standards, you've made it. Not oh, I live in the penthouse. If you're content with your life and you think you are made it and you're at the level you want to be, why would you not want to help others? And it's just like that rugged individualism. It even kills our own community. Like, there are people who, like, for example, one example of non-rugged individualism, Tyler Perry. You know, him and his movies and his plays, not even for people of color, have provided jobs and a start for people who want to act but can't get out there or something of that nature.
Right.
He took his struggle of being homeless and, as he made money, provided for thousands who may be in the same scenario as him.
Right.
That, while we don't know the ins and outs of everything about Tyler Perry, that one, like I said, one of the examples, the rugged individualism is just, I see it on it every day. Like, people driving to work, but you can see your coworker on the bus stop and it's like, well, he asked me for no, like, he didn't give me no ride. And it's just like, okay, even if he didn't give you a ride, why do you have to be as nasty as your brother? Like Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. And it's like, I'm not saying it's within ourselves. Let's go higher as people. Like, when we can help each other, let's help each other, even if it's just, and granted, I know there are people that are out there that help others, that see that their kids are having a hard time and they may give meals or look out for others. I do appreciate that. But like you said, we need to do it more, because while we may not be able to start something, that looking out, like you said, oh, I cannot take my child to the bus stop, call your neighbor. But that also, like I said, goes with the times, because people are weird and you don't trust your neighbors. You never know.
Absolutely.
And that's why I said the times have really changed, because that whole thing of, oh, I need to go to work, can my neighbor put on the bus? Yeah, that worked when I was going to school. I lived in a high-rise apartment building, and my mom trusted a girl every day to walk us, me and my friend, from the bus stop, because she couldn't pick us up in the afternoon. And it's just like, times aren't like this. You got to go on care.com and do a background check on a babysitter.
Right.
And that's where it gets even more, because that job we could be going for, what if I'm a babysitter and I'm good at my job? Care.com, which is how you get out there, you have to pay for an account.
Right. They get a cut of your money. Because of individualism, now we need third parties to vent us, and then now they're getting a cut of the money. So because the community has broken down, we have created more systems that's taking a cut out of the community.
I know a big thing is, and I'm very interested to see how this is going to go. I'm African American, so I'm pretty much going to talk for my African American brothers and sisters. I'm interested to see how this new law, if it is true, is going to go, that when you Zelle, Venmo, or Cash App someone over $600, it's going to be taxed of some sort. And it's just like, I don't know if those companies knew that that was going to be the goal in the end run, but I definitely know that a lot of my content creators and any other people who use those resources may not have thought that that's a big game changer. Because if I'm doing a service for you and I want to Cash App or Zelle you, the government is now being involved to tax that money, when before it's just like, straight 600. Like, sometimes people send it, you could send your wife $600 through Zelle, and it's nothing. And it's just like, there's more into that capitalism where they're seeing what we're doing. We make a way, but they make a harder way. Like,
I mean, the way the system works, if you're being paid $600, you should be documenting that. So the Zelle is just a way for them. It should be tracked. I mean, you can debate otherwise. Wait, you said something that I want to go back to. You said you needed help. What do you need help with?
Okay, so, honestly, just opportunity. My goals are always to finish my degree. If anyone has resources for that, for helping,
what
for
prevented
funding,
you from finishing your degree?
life situations. Just
You're here for it. What's the deal? Why? Like, you're saying you need help. So what do you need help? Like, where are we?
Like myself and others that are living in the inner city, there are brilliant people out here that need the opportunity and a platform to speak. I'm not going to say they need help with the college degree, because that may not be their standard. But for me, that is something I would like to obtain. And how it's become difficult for me is, my sophomore to junior year of college, I found that I had a health situation and decided to focus on that health situation and better myself also. And I was working at the time, but not having the guidance to kind of say like, hey, like, I know you're taking this time off, but maybe you shouldn't, or not having the guidance to say, hey, it's been about 2 years. How about you go back? Now I'm 26. And when people say like financial aid, you're grown. It gets difficult. People, it's so funny because in my situation, people be like, what do you mean? Like, people are looking for people like me. No, but when you apply, you know. I literally went to school in December, finishing my degree to work towards my bachelor's, but I had to stop because I can't afford to pay this semester. And honestly, that's even at a community college level. I was able to go in December because of the COVID funding.
Mm.
That community college thankfully decided to give that funding to their students when they didn't have to, but they didn't get that funding again this spring. So I couldn't return back. And that's when people are like, try, I am trying.
Okay.
And
so what school were you going?
I was going to Mercer County Community College, and I was transferring my credits back to my four-year university, which was Georgian Court University.
What is it?
Georgian Court University.
Georgian?
Yes, it's in Lakewood, New Jersey. A small Catholic university.
How much is Mercer?
If I wanted to take like a full semester load, so granted, I probably have like 1 to 2 more semesters at Mercer taking like basic general education classes that I didn't take while I was at my four-year university and can transfer them. Mercer can average to about $2,000 to $3,000 per semester, but that's just Mercer County, not even including the fact that I still need to go to my 4-year. If I were to go to Georgian Court, I still have about maybe a semester or 2, which is a year of taking my 400 level final classes in history, and because that is what I was majoring in, and I still want to continue with that. But it's just like, if I do get to that level, while also understanding I'm 26 and I need to work to provide for myself.
So there's no financial aid for Mercer?
No, not with the COVID funding. And the thing is, I'm not a full-time student there. So you know how students come in to take classes? Right. I'm not like a Mercer student. Right. I'm a visiting student who can transfer her credits. So that's where it gets difficult with the financial aid.
So if you were to go back to your school, it sounds like you need 2 years.
Maybe about like a year and a half.
All right.
Yeah.
Give or take 2 years.
Yeah.
You put in for financial aid.
Yeah.
You have to pay the difference.
Yeah.
And how many scholarships have you applied for?
Honestly, I tend to not apply for scholarships because while people were like, I was that person when I was going into my freshman year of college, applied for hundreds of scholarships. I was even considered for so many, but didn't receive them. And I can say that did deter me from applying for scholarships. But I think something that needs to be said during this college application process and scholarship process is, which is so wrong, they want us to explain our problems and the things that we go through in life in order to be rewarded this, but then they don't even. I've explained all of this trauma to you as to why I need the scholarship, but that's not a good feeling.
Okay.
Like, why, for one, again, off capitalism, why do I have to explain my struggles in order to be rewarded money? Especially the traumatic ones that led me here.
Right. You don't like that.
I don't think anyone does, to be honest.
So it's not necessarily a strong suit of mine, but I'm definitely willing to follow up with you and put you in contact with people who can help you follow up and get you A, applying for scholarships, and B, just the mentorship to keep you on task to finish your degree. I
appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, a young Black woman in America who's passionate and excited to learn. We need more of that for sure. And I know a lot of people do care and want to see you do well.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, that's how we met. You were wearing a UCLA hoodie.
Yes, my educational goals, everyone has, well, I'm not going to say everyone, because like I said, it's all situational.
Everyone has goals.
Everyone has goals, but mine has always been for UCLA, even when I did want to go to medical school years ago and I was studying the trajectory of that at UCLA, that was my dream school. So yes, that is how we met, wearing the UCLA hoodie, and sparked up conversation from then. But Yeah.
Do you want to live in California or not necessarily?
This is so crazy. As we're talking about try and we need an opportunity, I just accepted a position as a camp director in San Francisco, California, and I move a month from now.
That's exciting.
It is.
Camp director.
That's honestly, as I am sitting here passionate about politics, that's what I do. I've always been passionate about kids and women because they need the help the most in this country and always have. So not saying the names of the organizations, I've always worked in nonprofit after school programs or school programs.
Right.
As that. So with all my experience and things that I've done, I've been a camp director before. I applied and I got it after going through the application process and interviews.
Year round, like you said, camp.
So how a lot of camp programs are run are in the summer, you're the camp director, and then around school time, a lot of those camp programs will do like after school programs or tutoring programs.
Okay.
So I'm hoping it will transition into that. I am just here for the seasonal time, but like you said, as we talked about it, this is my opportunity. I don't plan to stay in this tri-state area of New Jersey because as someone who's lived in New Jersey their whole life and the things that I want to do, it's nothing here for me. And not to say that there is something there for me in California, but I'm willing to try and go and see. And then if it doesn't work, try again.
Do you have any support out there?
I do. My aunt lives in California. She works for a corporate organization out there. So she's headstrong, and I know that she can give me the advice if need be. I go, stay with her or anything like that.
But, are you gonna start with her? Start staying with her?
We've talked about it, but I would love to be in my own space. If anybody can help attain that, I would love. I get it. California is expensive, and I'm not looking to honestly rent right away. I'm looking to I don't know anything about California, and I would hate to I've visited before, I've gone on vacation, but I would just hate to move out there. So it's like I said, I'm not even really looking to rent right away. As you know, in this generation, we have a bunch of different resources like Airbnbs and all that type of stuff. And I know, but again, that's a generational thing. Somebody might be like, you're gonna stay in an Airbnb on that?
So you're gonna move. What's your start date?
My start date is mid-March.
Mid-March, you'll be in California starting.
Yes.
And you wanna start off staying in an Airbnb.
I do. I know a lot of people may be like, but for me, accountability is about the journey. And I do, well, people may think you're gonna stay in an Airbnb. It's nice. They give you the whole house and stuff
nice.
Yeah. But it's I don't, again, like we said, everyone has those opportunities. I need to work on my credit to be able to rent.
Is your aunt open to you staying with her?
Yeah, she is. But it's not to say I don't want to.
That sounds like a practical beginning.
It sounds like a practical beginning to everyone who doesn't know the ins and outs of people's households. So that's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying.
On the outside, it's duh, why would you go stay with your aunt? But it's just
it may not be feasible based on
true. And honestly, basic logistics, me not knowing much about California, this job is in San Francisco and she lives kind of outside San Francisco in San Leandro. So the commute for me would kind of be an hour and 15 minutes one way.
Okay.
So I also am kind of looking, granted, I would do it because like we said, this is a start. And
traffic's crazy out there.
Well, I wouldn't drive. They have she lives right by their rail system, the BART. So I would take the BART into San Francisco if I were to do that. And she does have a vehicle, but their gas is expensive. They're experiencing gas shortages and different things like that. So I wouldn't, plus with that traffic and honestly driving another person's car, I would just feel.
I don't know if she's gonna give you her car.
She would.
All right. So
that's so funny. You know my aunt?
No, I'm excited that you have an action plan.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's it for you in New Jersey.
It is. And it's also funny to say, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but again, from someone that's coming from the inner city and doesn't have any resources, I don't have a savings account, anything like that. If I didn't have a plan, are y'all gonna help me? Is there somebody in California who trustworthily in San Francisco will allow me to, so you get what I mean? if some people don't have the opportunities to even have a plan.
Yeah.
So it's like, I get it, but this whole conversation was from experience. I don't have those resources. So if I can't stay with her or she lives too far away, I'm gonna have to make it work. Because again, this is trying, and it looks different for each person.
Oh my gosh, God bless you.
Yeah.
So let me try to give some more perspective, right?
Okay.
A lot of the experiences. So I think I was where you were. So here's the thing. I always was passionate about helping community and fixing and being a part of a solution. And then when I went to college, I started learning about redlining and like all of these systematic injustices in detail.
Yes.
And like you said, before critical race theory, like racism kind of got glossed over. Like, oh yeah, they were in chains and they were made to work.
Yep.
And some of them got lynched, and it was really bad. And it was kind of like that. You got the one sentence, and you kind of got the one sentence all throughout. And I think during college, I started reading slave narratives and understanding everything that happened, like during the leading up to the Civil War, after the Civil War, World War I, World War II, all of these things. I'm like, and this is where we're at right now. I think I kind of went into shock, and I think you're kind of in shock, right? I kind of went into shock to think people like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X said it so plainly. We have so many people with PhDs who are well educated, more than me, who were able to kind of like look at this whole thing. Like when I read a book and the book is saying these many people die from starvation, like it's written right here.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to think. I don't need to come up with this. It's so like I got to a point where I was just kind of like, like a deer in headlights, I think. So I think you kind of still have that. And I think for me, I've kind of tried to understand the complexity. So first I saw the problem, then I saw the complexity, then I'm trying to understand the psychology of everyone involved in this. I've had some interesting conversations leading up to this with people who talk about it's not just like as people, we have a way of creating narratives that oversimplify good guy, bad guy, us versus them, the white people, the capitalists, the people at the top. And what it was one conversation, and he was saying that it's more complex than that, and the good guy has a role in his problem. And obviously I'd heard that in a number of ways, but basically what he was doing as a historian was saying, when you really, really, really break it down, there's so many factors. It's not just the white people who's doing it. So like when I look at everything where we are now, I'm like, okay, we know what the problems are. Now we have to do our part.
Yeah.
And we have enough people with PhDs. And you're saying you didn't complete your bachelor's, but you have enough skills to do a lot. Community organization, that's a big thing. People to do the legwork, people to get the vision out there. And I'm a visionary. That's why I do what I do. And I have these conversations one-on-one. Long before the podcast, I'd have these groundbreaking conversations. And I said, I wish I had captured that. And the conversation ends and it's like, it's gone.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to capture these conversations.
Yeah.
And that's why I started the podcast.
Yeah.
To capture it, right? And I realized I'm just one person with a vision. So we need people who can do the legwork, people who can fill out the paperwork, people who can bring the money, people who have the social skills to connect all these people.
Yeah.
To get us to sit down in a room and talk this out.
Yeah.
I consider myself articulate, but everyone has a role to play.
Yeah.
So I look at all these things and I'm like, that's where I want to go. when I look at Martin Luther King and X, if they had started like businesses, and I'm not trying to say they did
Yeah.
whatever they did,
Yeah.
but if instead of organizing marches, they were opening businesses, and building banks, and they stayed, a little less aggressive, we would have been a lot more ahead.
But I think it's important to realize that they were doing those marches because we could not build banks and businesses. That time.
But that's not true. Black businesses were left alone for the most part. If you had your little Black business over here, that's okay. You had your little Black movie theater,
I
it's
don't think
okay.
that's true.
Yes, we did have them.
I think that
there were more Black businesses before integration. And then after integration, those businesses died down. So instead of trying to get our records played on white radio stations, we should be, circulating our records in the Black community, those kinds of things. I'm just saying to shift that. And now it's not too late, I think. We learned from the mistakes, and I think we can now learn from them and move forward. So I'm not saying, I have nothing against white people. I have nothing against the level of integration we have. I think the key now is to build up our infrastructure within.
I still again go with my original thought. Like, yes, businesses were back there, but like, you ever hear that quote where people be like, "Dad, Martin Luther King was a good president. Why didn't he run for president?"
Being a president's a joke. Come on.
It is a joke, but he still considered himself an official leader. And I think that if Martin Luther King, given the opportunity and was allowed to run for president, he would have ran for president. And that's why I also say, I still think that they were still marching back then because they weren't allowed.
That's my point. If Martin Luther King was the president, that's worse. That's not what we want. I'm saying we need to slow down and stop asking white people. I'm not saying stop the things that we're doing, right? Because there are white people who's helping. I'm not saying stop the help that they're giving us and stop petitioning them to help us. I'm not really trying to say that. I'm saying stop focusing our anger for what we don't have towards the system. Focus our anger inward and fix our infrastructure, fix ourselves, fix our communities, and build ourselves up.
I'm not. I can agree with that. I think that's something that could be done, but I'm not gonna say that's what is gonna help us, because if we could play the game of capitalism as a group of African Americans unanimously, like we have been, and go up to make it good enough that we get into Princeton University and get a PhD. How's America going to switch it up? They're going to make it they're going to create another, you're going to have to need 2 doctorates at that point. Every time we try to mature ourselves or work our way up to where the white man is, they change the standards that a bachelor's doesn't hold this much weight. Now you need a master's. So I get what you're saying, but I think the main point of also realizing that capitalism is rooted in whiteness, no matter how much we get ourselves together, even if we did it by ourselves, it can help us, but I get it. It's not to say it won't be enough. It's just to point out that the main problem here is capitalism and it's white supremacy. Because I know you were about to say we stop looking to the white man for help. We're talking about the government. The fact that we even refer the government as the white man is the problem. Because first of all, these people don't know shit about our issues to help other people. First of all, why are the people up top in charge of what's going on with people at the bottom?
I agree with you 100%.
So I get it. It sounds good, but like I said, there's more intricate work to be there. Because the thing is, let's be for real. Half the reason we can't get it together is because we need help with our mental health within our households.
I agree.
So,
which at the core of what you're saying is we need to dismantle white supremacy. That's really what you're saying.
I'm not saying that that's going to fix us and help us as a group of African Americans. I'm saying that is the start, because again, that's what started this whole thing. Like I said, like not to say like life in Africa was But I mean, I don't know, like, who brought us over here and gave us this? It can originate from a simple thought of that. Like I said, the fact that we even consider the white man as the Uncle Sam holds weight, huh? The fact that our tax system is named after the white man. The same tax system that taxes us when we have a job, but when we don't have a job, can't help us.
Listen, most people will agree that white supremacy, so the mindset of white supremacy is something that the elite hide behind. So let's be clear, because I agree with that. The elite hide behind white supremacy.
Mhm.
So what that really means is you have, now I said before, middle class starts at 100,000 in my mind, right? You have people who are not even 100,000, husband and wife, both working, 2 kids, and together they're earning 80,000,
Mm-hmm.
right? On some levels, I think that's still middle class. But
Yeah.
the point is, these people, in their mind, they know they're white
Mm-hmm.
and they understand they have white privilege, right? So now we're talking to them. I'm talking to them. Those people who are these lower middle class, they know that there's such a thing as white supremacy. They know they have white privilege, and they're not willing to go out of their way for African Americans and minorities.
And
So when we're talking about dismantling white supremacy, the people the people who really benefit from white supremacy are the elite,
yes,
and they hide behind
yes,
white privilege.
yes,
Because you have white privilege, you know your neighbor is black and they are not getting, like you said, the good part of Trenton. They know the bad part of Trenton is disenfranchised and not doing well, but they're not willing to stick their neck out for them.
not at all.
So what you're really saying is America is broken, and everyone who's hiding behind white privilege
And supremacy are the ones enabling it and continuing making it keep going.
and you're saying that's who you're really talking to.
Yeah, like and people can be like, how can we change it? One change can be if you're the supervisor of a corporation. This sounds bad. Hire a person of color that doesn't have a degree, but like you said, with us and us, we can still do the work. It's so crazy because half of these people that they're hiring for this degree have the degree requirements, but can't conduct the conversation or are awkward as who knows what to make a business deal. But oh, they got the degree. Like it. That's how you can start, literally, right. Literally. And people say, oh, that's not white privilege. Yes, it is, because there's been plenty of situations where two people, one of color, one of not of color, applied for the same job, and guess who got it? Again, that's how you can start. Like, start by acknowledging it. If there are people who are Caucasian watching this and you've watched this and said, hey, so I've watched this and I'm holding myself accountable, how can I start? Holding yourself accountable is the start. Saying, I do work for a white corporation, or I own a white corporation, but what can I do to change that? How can I do more to help people? And a lot of these corporations think that helping people in inner cities or people of color is by like community service. Yes, but start hiring the people. Because again, degrees don't mean that. Like, I don't know if y'all heard this, but D's get degrees. You can fail your way to college and like, okay, but that's not the point. Start hiring people who didn't even go to college, because just because you went to college doesn't mean you're knowledgeable or not knowledgeable, for one. And it's like, that's how you can start.
So one of my underlying questions, which I kind of feel like you were gesturing towards, is that capitalism does not have opportunities for everyone, which means, I'm going to make up a number. There's 1 million people graduating from college every year, and there's only like 10,000 jobs.
Yep.
So that means, when the white person graduates, when the black person graduates, and there's a job position to fill, there's plenty of white people to fill them. So you can just hire white, stay white, and, continue the problem. Mm-hmm. And the reality is the black person has less access to a better paying job. So they end up getting lesser, lesser, lesser paying jobs.
Mhm,
And that's a part of the problem. And some of them even end up unemployed.
mhm.
So you have people with degrees, bachelor's, master's, and PhDs who are unemployed, who are overqualified, working jobs they're overqualified for and unemployed. And I think
Yep,
what you were gesturing towards is that's a part of the problem of capitalism is that there's not enough opportunities to meet the needs of communities.
definitely.
And then because of the way the system that leaves you on someone else's couch, that leads you, you know,
Dependent.
in someone's closet apartment. Like it leads you into down this weird road.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, yes, if you pull yourself up, eventually you will be fine. But in the meantime, there are plenty of people who are disenfranchised. And because of that bottleneck, it creates a mentality, and that's the problem that capitalism has is there's a fear of lack. So am I gonna go out there and start hiring African Americans? My boss is gonna be like, what are you doing? And now that puts me in jeopardy. And now I'm frowned upon. Like it's all of these complicated things that's
Right.
happening at the same time.
And then that's the crazy part about it. The fact that that scenario, if integration really happened, the fact that that scenario is even a scenario. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to hire more Black people. My boss is going to look at me. Okay, maybe I
Yeah.
don't want to work here. And that's where it becomes more of a psychological thing. Because in our generation, when we don't see Black people there, and there's one Black person, but there's a whole bunch of white people, we'd be like, so we were the diversity hire. Got it. Because that's that capitalism still rooted that, we don't want our company to seem racist. So let's just hire the one token Black. The one token Black who can turn off her AAVE and turn to white voice, or she can make those deals with Black people, or she can work with the white people. That's where it then becomes a mental problem between us, because you fight. You don't like, why do I have to code switch? Why did you hire me to code switch? Why is code switching even a thing? It's rooted in that white superiority and capitalism,
Right.
because their standard is the right thing, and that's
Right.
not it. No.
It's real. I think
Yeah.
I think we know 100% sure that white privilege is real. We know that white supremacy is there. There are white people out there who's afraid of losing their position of power with all of these new immigrants, with all of these uppity Negroes.
Yeah.
Like all of these things are threatening white people.
Oh my,
And-
such a threat. If you have that as a threat, you need to check yourself. Oh my God, what are people going to think? Again, you need to check yourself.
But I think that's what Trump built his platform on, was white people's fear.
Trump built his platform on blatant racism. And
Right.
what he did is he revoked all that was in people and allowed it to become public. And while I say he did that is because now that he's not president and they don't have a leader to egg them on, they still want to show that racism, but it's more of a stand to it now because we have a different leader. And as people are like, what? Yeah, when we have different leaders, different things are allowed. Like that whole Capitol riot thing, that egged on racist people that Trump egged on when he was running for president to make them think that they can do things like that and not have any consequences.
Right.
Where are they now? America controls our news, but we haven't heard anything. We haven't heard anything about any riots because different administration, different, like it's just a continuous ladder.
Right. And I'm here for all of it. I think America needs to hear conversations like this. I think America needs to have conversations like this. And what surprises me is, it still surprises me how much, Fox News and these places keep having the same curated voices saying the same curated thing.
And that's what I wanted to say to you is, yes, I do think that people do need to hear these voices. But one thing I want to say to me is I've had this voice before I got on this channel on yours, and people have had these voices, a voice that like the point I'm trying to make is people get these voices and white people value them to bring them on. It's like, oh my God, she's speaking, like, let's bring her on. But then when I really call people out, or people like me who have a voice call people out while on these channels, or to other people, like, it's to their benefit. It's because, oh, like, yeah, she's new and she's a trending topic now, talking about what's going on. But it's like, when people are actually ready to focus on race theory and different things like that, they really don't call people in the room who they need to listen to. They, like, say for example, we need to dismantle white supremacy. They're gonna call the president in the room and say, what should we do?
But again, let's be honest,
Yeah.
right? Let's be 100% honest, because we're on that level. President Biden, he is not here to dismantle white supremacy.
No.
Barack Obama
is
not here to dismantle white supremacy.
Yeah.
And anyone who's in political office right now.
Well, let's challenge that, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
While we know America is built differently, last time I checked, the president was the president of everybody, not just white people and Black people. So yeah, he's not there to defend white supremacy, but if you see an inequality happening in your country, what you supposed to do?
In theory or in practical?
Both. That's literally how the
'Cause
Civil War started.
There's a difference.
The Black people complaining and Lincoln thinking he did something about it. So you wrote war, fight for what you want. We still won, didn't get anything.
Right.
So in theory, that is what he's supposed to do, but practical, they don't do that.
Exactly.
So I get it, but like, that's another point to shed the light on, is that the president is supposed to be for everyone, but he's not. And it's like, Black people or people of color, because that's what we're talking about, we don't realize that, because Biden, like, I think one of the most, for me, it's hurtful because I do follow politics. One of the most hurtful thing that I think Biden did is he tried so hard to get the Black vote, for even by getting a black VP.
Right.
And y'all can say what you want, but he went to Kamala for a reason.
Everyone, listen.
And it's like,
listen. The Black community is manipulated in politics.
Oh yeah,
that's a fact.
Yeah, but I don't think that even our people realize that.
That we're being manipulated?
Yeah, because it's like,
we know we're being manipulated.
Do we?
Well, here's the thing. That's when we go back and forth, because we like Kanye West said it well. We know George Bush don't care about Black people.
Yeah.
So we know you voted for him. He's the president, and he don't care. So he just kind of said it, right? And what I'm saying is, we know Biden doesn't care. Biden's not going to Chicago and trying to make things better. He's not trying to make Baltimore better. Like, Biden's not worried about that. Come on. What America really cares about is GDP.
I think going back to your original stand is that I think that whether people know it or not, that is how white people are able to benefit off of capitalism, because it may be another sector of the isms we study, but one thing of capitalism is our presidency and the fact that we still have this kind of capitalistic system going on. So I get your point of view, but like, I think one mental trip that presidents or people of the government know is that Black people are rooted in niceness and trust and hope. Sure. So I do think, like, okay, just because Barack Obama became president and it's not his job to dismantle white supremacy, I think we had a lot of hope in Barack Obama for equality. Of course. Yes, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. As an example,
a lot of people were.
As an example, people aren't going to say this, but Barack Obama used that too. He used, this is for us. Wow. And that's how, and it's to say, like, I get it.
He's a puppet.
Yeah, all politicians are.
Absolutely.
And I get it while you say that our people know this, but sometimes I don't think that they really know politics to say, like, guys, he may plan to do this, but like, he's just like.
He is not planning to do nothing.
I don't think that some Black people
are professional puppets.
I believe that. I just think that not everyone who goes and votes or who follows the American system.
That's why I get upset. That's one of the things that upsets me, is when I have intelligent people with PhD talk about politics like it's real.
Yeah,
that upsets me. That really upsets me. I have to say this a little bit. I remember when I was like 8 or 10 years old, I was watching wrestling. This was like WWE or whatever it was. I'm 8, 10 years old. My brother looked at me. He was like, it's fake. I was like, what? I'm watching it like it's real. And he told me it's fake. And then he says, watch, this guy's going to win. And based on the way, it's like a soap opera, wrestling. That's exactly what politics is. So what upsets me is when you have intelligent people who we respect go on TV and talk like it's real.
You know what's so funny? The people who I usually find that they think is politics are real are the people where politics helped them and the system helped them and capitalism worked for them. Because I mean, anyone, like one of the best examples I can think of, I'm not going to say the system worked for him, but I think because he was able to work his way up and become a doctor and get that attention, it changed his tax bracket. And I think sometimes when people of color tax bracket change, they think their political affiliation needs to change, and that's not true. Ben Carson. Thank you. I was forgetting his name. Ben Carson. The fact that he had that mindset and Trump trusted him, well, of course, with that mindset, Trump would trust him to be the housing administration. Are you kidding me? No, he believes, not to say he believes in politics, and not to say that if you work in politics, you believe it. I truly think that Ben Carson was for Trump and believed in everything that he did because it's funny. One could say Ben Carson worked for that administration to shoo white supremacy, but he became a part of it. When it came to him talking to his own, Ben Carson was a prevalent, him running for president. What sector of his party was he in when he ran for president?
I don't know.
That I'm not going to say it, but
say it.
No, I don't. I think that's another thing that
I really don't know.
I think that I'm pretty sure if he didn't run independent because we had Republican nominates at the time, he either ran with Republican thoughts and ideologies, and we're talking new Republican, not old Republican when the political parties switch and things like that. I think that's another thing we need to talk about with our generation, which is why I didn't want to say it, is part of dismantling white supremacy is dismantling these political parties. We don't even...
Wait, why didn't you want to say it?
What he voted?
No, you were just saying I didn't,
Because I don't to be honest, I don't affiliate with either one or any.
This is your chance to tell it like it is.
No, I know, but I just can say, maybe I'll say I don't want to talk about the white supremacy system on here, on how it continues with them. I want to talk about how we're breaking it down. So just saying, I didn't want to say Trump much. I didn't want to say Biden much, because it's just it's
a part of it.
It is, but like you said, of giving them their energy
to Trump. I have a friend, she's a Latina, and she's a Trump supporter. Her husband's a cop, and she's like, Blue Lives Matter. I love Trump. And I'm
Why does she like Trump?
That's what I want to know. I want to have her on to kind of talk,
what's so funny? Yeah. I had a job at my previous job where I worked with someone who was Hispanic, and she voted for Trump. And while people may be like, what's wrong with that? We know he had, not even to say, he discriminated against Hispanic people, for one, off the bat.
Mexicans?
Yes, and it's just for you to vote for him, I get it. People are going to talk about us, but building a wall so that your people can't come into the country?
I don't think Latinos from the Caribbean care about Mexicans.
No, see, that's a whole different sector also.
Right.
But I can say, when I spoke to her, I said, why did you really vote for Trump? Knowing that he doesn't even like your people, for him to consider you to have a seat at the table with him. She said, because I really want to see this country, and this was when he first started, I really want to see this country get back to how it was economy-wise. And I can say Trump did have, for some reason, again, rooted in that white supremacy, people think that the economy does better when it's Republicans, because I think the premonition of we're not giving money out, Democrats tend to get more money and help, that they think that when a Republican gets in office, it's going to whip the office back into shape, because it's a known trajectory that Republicans are more tough on giving people what they want. I think in so many words, that is how people view politics now, is that Republicans want to keep super tight, super things super tight, and Democrats, this is what I think people think. Democrats are going to give us what we want. They're going to help the people, because usually Democrats help the people.
So they're going to waste the money, help the people. Republicans will save the money and not help the people.
Yeah, and maybe a little racism while we deal with it. Yes, and that's why.
So then in the end,
he didn't do any of it.
Wait, so in the end, the Republicans who save the money, whatever the way they manage the money, it's going to lead to more jobs, even for the poor.
I don't even know if people have that correlation. I just think that sometimes people start with the correlation of Republicans usually save us more money. We need this economy to get better. We need this, so let's put a Republican in office. And a lot of people thought that is what Trump would do, but I
hear you. Let me shift gears a little bit. You grew up in Trenton your whole life. What is Trenton like? Like, what did you see growing up? When did you start to see Trenton? Like at some point, you're 2 years old, you only see your house. Like, when did you start to see Trenton?
What do you mean see Trenton?
Like, what is Trenton? Like, someone's in Venezuela, they don't know Trenton. Like, what you said, it's an inner city. Like, what does that look like? Is that drugs on the corners? They're shooting through your window? Like, is there people breaking into your house? Is there drug dealers on the corner? Like, what does Trenton look like?
Well, I would like to say I do want to challenge your thinking, because
no, I don't have a thinking.
No, I know, but just mentally think about how when I mentioned inner city, you correlated to is there drugs and shootings, because usually when people think inner city, they think of bad and violence.
Exactly. That's what I'm asking.
So that's what I'm saying. That's even rooted in capitalism and white supremacy, because inner city does not mean bad.
Right.
Granted, how I talked about it in my context, you could have picked it up from the context clues, definitely.
Right.
But I do want to say that people think, oh my God, you're from Trenton. What is it like? What is being from Princeton like? Are there white people handing you money on the corner? So quiet. Oh no, I'm not asking you. I'm just saying, like, for people.
It's quiet.
But no, Trenton is what you make it. It's so crazy, because I think, not even being from Trenton, people who are born in inner cities anyway have so much pride. Like, you can't take being away from Trenton from me. And I'm not saying you are, but like, yeah, there's crime in the things that I've seen growing up, but like, I have pride in it. Like, yeah, I lived on one of the most like dangerous, notorious streets in West Trenton.
Dangerous for what?
Drugs. It would be times I would sit in my house, in my apartment, and we could hear around the corner gunshots. There's times, and where I live now, I was on the phone with someone, and down the street, they heard gunshots while we were on the phone. So it's like, yes, there is that, but I take pride in it, because Trenton, it made me who I am. I am a Trentonian, and I will always, that's what Trenton people are. Sure. I will always say I'm from Trenton. I will always claim Trenton. Like I said to you, I spent some time in Princeton, because they're about 20 minutes away from each other. And I guess to say my family knowing the system, I spent time in Princeton because I went to private schools. I did not go to Trenton public schools because of the systematic of, well, this school in the inner city isn't that good. And not to say my parents cared about my education enough to send me to private school, because no, just because you send your children to public school does not mean that you care about your education. It's just the fact that with all of the violence that was going on, to be honest, my family felt like I could uphold my own. It was a personal choice.
Right.
It had nothing. My grandfather and everyone went to public schools in Trenton.
Right.
But Trenton, to me, it depends on what you want to experience. You can go have a nice nightlife in Trenton, go to a couple things like it. And again, like I said, I'll never take that away, because that, I know someone may say going to Trenton to have a nice night, you got to worry about being robbed. Where's some wood? I've never been robbed in Trenton. I've never been stuck up. Yeah, you be smart, and if you're walking somewhere, you don't carry a purse or you don't flash things, but like, it doesn't mean bad. I had the best experiences in Trenton, and people who move, like, now that I'm experiencing friends who have corporate jobs, they move to Trenton, and it's like, don't get me wrong, it is dangerous, but isn't everywhere dangerous? Like, we're at that time now. But Trenton, I can say I'm not the Trenton. It has been, but it's changed. Like you said, there's parts of Trenton you can go into. West Trenton is known for being, it's dangerous. It still has its killings and shootings and homicides, but it's known as the better part of Trenton. Um, there are better and worse parts of Trenton, but it depends. Like some things you can't.
I wanted you to tell me as a kid, like when did you start to see Trenton? What did you see?
Oh my gosh. It's not that I started seeing Trenton, it's when I started seeing politics. Oh, best story ever. My grandmother worked for the city of Trenton, or not really the city, she worked for the state of New Jersey, and the headquarters are in Trenton, and she worked in the Department of Revenue. And I say that to say the Department of Revenue building it's a couple doors down from the State House, or where the governor would do majority of his business handling. And I'm not sure if you know about this. During my youth, when you say that, we had our first governor come out as either bisexual and gay. And that is when I saw Trenton. That's when I saw politics in general, because you see what's happening on the news. You see my grandmother coming home talking about what's going on within the walls of these state buildings of he's about to get put out, or we can't wait to have another. And it's just like, that's when I really started to see politics of like, well, why are people treating him? Why is it a big deal that he came out this way?
You know his name?
Yes, Jim McGreevey. Okay. Jim McGreevey, when I was younger, he was the governor of New Jersey or mayor of Trenton. I'm not sure which is to be specific, but he came out that he liked men, and he started. He didn't get out, or what? I don't remember exactly. I don't think he got like kicked out. I think he finished his term, and then he was just elected, of course. But that's when I really started to recognize politics, because that's when I really started to look at like, well, why is it even news that this is his life choice? There's nothing to do with our news as a country. We're not at harm. We're not. Why does this matter? That's when I really started to notice politics. And, they took mayors of Trenton very serious. So I've always been involved in that, because according to my grandfather, he's grown up in Trenton. Our first Black mayor was like, when I was maybe, he said 5 or 6, one person before him. So I was born in the 90s.
Right. So in Jamaica High School, we didn't have metal detectors on a daily basis. So what would happen is they would have these random days. So let's say 2 or 3 times a month, it'd be like random metal detectors, which was always so stupid, because if you saw the metal detector that day, you could just run back outside and stash whatever you had. But that means on the other day, you don't know who had. And if you came through the metal detector, your friend went around to the other door, you could have brought whatever into one of the side doors. So this was in Jamaica High School. When I went there, no one got stabbed, shot. I remember one morning I was outside, and there appeared to be what was gunfire, and everyone started running. And I'll never forget, there was this one kid who said, "What y'all running for? What y'all running for?" And he was almost like saying, "I got my gun too." Like,
I got you.
And yeah, like, I don't even know why people's running, but like, as I'm like watching this, I'm seeing he's close to me, and they're running that way, and he's looking that way, and he's like, I saw bloods, a lot of dressed in red. I saw people get jumped. Not a lot, but that wasn't in my school. That was like on Jamaica Avenue. Yeah. Jamaica Avenue is like a 10-minute walk from my school. Okay. So most of the people in my school would walk down to Jamaica Avenue and take their bus. Okay. Jamaica Avenue is kind of like Trenton. It was like the center of everything. Okay. So people would go to Jamaica Avenue. There'd be buses in all directions. Okay. So Jamaica Avenue, like once 3:30 hits, it was like a lot. People from work. Yeah. There were like 10 schools in the area. It was like
the hustle and bustle of it all. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember more Bloods than Crips, right? So, you see red bandanas here and there, but it really wasn't like California. We acknowledge that it's mostly fake Bloods and stuff like that, but they were gang members who were like beating people up. And I think the stuff that I did see was more like, he a fake Blood, so we're gonna beat you up. So, people would pretend to be Blood, or they had Bloods in their neighborhood. So then when you come on Jamaica Avenue, people be like, oh, what's your set? So now they start trying to question you.
Yeah.
And if you're like, you fake, you could get beat up for that.
Yeah.
So it's almost, they weren't randomly beating people up, kind of.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. And, school was school. If you went to school and there were nerds who were focused, they came, they got straight A's, they graduated, they went to college. And I was also sitting next to people who you could tell they didn't give a fuck. And then they dropped out. You never saw them again. I had girls who came looking like they go into the nightclub, fancy, like makeup, low cut shirts, skirts, stilettos. They were wearing stilettos before I knew what it was. So I saw a mixture all in this. Jamaica High School was a big school. It's now dismantled. It's no longer, if you Google it, it doesn't exist anymore. It was one of these schools that had like 3 levels. It could probably had 2,000 students.
Oh, wow.
So now they broke it up. It's now like 3 or 4 different schools in one building.
Okay.
I haven't really been there much, but I know that much. And I say that to say, like, it was relatively safe, but you mind your business. There was no weed in school, but I know people who you could leave school, skip a class, smoke, and come back in. But if you smoke, you're not coming back. So it was what it was.
Yeah.
When I first came here, I lived with my aunt, and my aunt would say, "You can't go to the park." I'm like, "You can't go to the park." I was like, "There's nothing else." Like,
yeah.
You can't go to the park.
And imagine, like I said to you, they're closing. The mayor of Trenton closed the Coward Park.
And of course, I went to the park, and you played basketball. There was no gangs. There was no shooting. Just a regular park. I didn't see what the big deal was.
Yeah.
My aunt is very protective. She raised her daughter who became adopted. Like, very protective. She's like, "Come home. School gets out at 3. I want you home by 3:45." Yeah. And I'm like, "I want to hang out and see what's this." Yeah. And mind you, I think I wanted to socialize in community. Yeah. And if you're a good parent, you're a protective parent, not a good parent. A protective parent keeps their kid away from all that stuff. And those protected kids are the ones who make it out, for the most part. The more you get involved, the more you have your boyfriend, I feel like you're holding your tongue. Let it out.
I think that's a stereotype.
I mean, the sheltered ones disproportionately make it out more than the unsheltered.
Went to private school, that off the bat, and if it's like, oh, private school is a shelter, like you said, strict mom. Did not go out after I was in high school, still had a bedtime. I was sheltered.
Right.
So it's like, I get what you're saying, but like, that's where I said it's that decision. Yes, our parents can shelter us, but like, I don't think the correlation that sometimes because kids were born into inner cities and sheltered means they're going to make it out. There are people that were not sheltered that make it out.
No, I'm not saying, only sheltered kids make it out. No, I would never make any kind of blanket statement. Okay. I'm just saying that, like, I knew kids who were like, "I can't give you my phone number. I can't get phone calls," that kind of thing. So I know kids who had cell phones, like there was a spectrum.
So you're saying that you think the way that kids may be raised and their exposure to things can affect how they may come out. I agree, but I want to, argue with your mindset that we were talking about like inner city kids and stuff like that. Did you give your phone number out to a lot of people?
When I was in high school?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying.
Oh, you made it out.
Listen, I tell my kids all the time.
Right here in Princeton, New Jersey.
I tell my kids all the time.
Remember that conversation? Like you told me, you made it out, right?
I'm smart.
You made it out,
but I'm not where I should have been.
You made it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, when I say made it out, this is what made it out means. Like, you're not struggling going job to job. You have a real career. You're, on the path to home ownership if you don't have a mortgage already. Like that's making it out. Like survive. I'm not talking about surviving.
I also argue with that because I know a guy from Trenton who I'm not gonna say his name, and this is not a bad outcome, but he was wrapped up in a lot of inner street things and served his time, but realized he wanted to serve more to the community. He got Trump to exonerate his charges, and now he's a community leader of Trenton. So I get your point of view, but he still lives in Trenton. He was involved in all the stuff, and he made it out technically.
Making it out has nothing to do with leaving the community.
But no, I get what you're saying. But he was wrapped up, the epitome, I would say, of wrapped up.
So he did the wrong thing and changed his life.
Yeah. So that's right. But I'm saying with your mindset of, you said that people who aren't social, or to say give out their phone number or get wrapped up in their inner city things, don't exactly make it out. And I'm saying in this example, he did. He is the example. I don't know if you've seen it, but Trenton is on an episode of Gangland.
That's not a good example.
Why?
You're saying, I know someone who was in gangs and who was doing all the wrong things, but he made it out.
Yes, because one thing about me is I'm going to challenge both point of views. I'm going to say just because that person was sheltered like me, like, okay, let's look at it. I'm sitting here, I've worked with you. I told you I did my programs at Princeton University. Right. I was sheltered and I have not made it out.
Exactly.
He was not sheltered and he made it out. Right. That's the point I'm making to you.
Right. So I think you're trying to say there's no perfect recipe.
No, it's
not.
And
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm not saying parents should shelter kids. I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm just painting a picture because I wanted you to kind of give me your
okay, I get you. Okay, yeah. No, I definitely think now that you've said that there is no perfect recipe. Someone who isn't in the inner city, one way they may need help is, like they say, it takes a village.
Right.
So it's just, I don't, like you said, now that you've provided that point of view, I do kind of say, like, negate that. I do think that there is no perfect recipe. You can set your kids up and they can have their own internal struggles. Can
you tell me about the village that you experienced?
I still have my village now. If I might start crying, because when you really have a village of people who want to help you after you've experienced difficulty.
Yeah. No, I want you to talk about the village.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I can't, it's difficult because I can't get into the particulars of just.
Well, tell me whatever you're comfortable.
A village for me, and when I realized a village was for me, is when I started explaining my life difficulties and they respected them, but they did not only respect them, they dismantled their own white privilege to help me. I have someone I know that I met through an old job of mine when I was directing the after school programs and different things like that. She was an older person and she volunteered in Princeton and wanted to help the kids in the after school program that I met. And we still remain friends to this day because she believes in me. She filled out my reference for that job in California.
Got it.
Everyone.
So I meant I want you to talk about all of it. Right?
Yeah, but what village?
I was talking about the village as a kid, like.
See, that's what I'm saying with them stereotypes. I didn't have a village.
Yeah, tell me
why didn't have a village.
Why didn't you have a village in Trenton?
Well, that's what I want you to. I think it had honestly to do more with a family aspect and generational aspect of, like, I have a small family for one, and we're kind of like spread apart, but where I had a village in Trenton in meaning care providers. But when I say village, when you get to a certain age, you don't need a care provider. You need people who are honestly going to help you. And I'm focusing on my village now. But looking back in Trenton, I mean, your village is your caretakers. At that point, I wasn't really exactly doing, or like, I wasn't really exactly to say exposed to things when I was younger, but as I got older, and like I said to you, I did those projects, I did realize who was in my village. When I did get into those programs at Princeton University, I wasn't able to pay for them. Donations, my church, like the churches, like I am definitely one of those kids who was brought up in the Black Baptist church.
Nice.
And that is where, I guess to say, the structure came from. And that was, shout out? No.
Do you still go to this church?
No. Did
you fall out with the church?
Yeah.
Why?
Because while this is not a conversation, I don't want to get into it about religion. I'm the person that argues about politics and not religion.
Why?
Because religion is what you make of it.
So I want you to continue, but I want you to understand this. What we're talking about here, we're talking about all of the pillars that hold the Black community up.
Okay, then like you said, all the pillars that hold the Black community up, the Black church has the black women specifically, but since Black women are such a major holding point for their families, the Black church has people in a standstill. It's to the point where the pastor can't even do any wrong because it's just like they ideologize the person and not what's really going on. And
you did not want to say this?
I didn't want to say it because honestly, when it comes to the part of religion,
like it is.
This is the tell it like it is, but it's also realizing that the religion we study is correlated with this same capitalism. Politics, wait. Like I said, you got to see
I don't understand why you wanted to leave this. We're trying to save people.
We're trying to save people, but I think I learned with my family still being rooted in the Black church,
right?
That I don't really say it. I try.
This is your chance now to like, yo, listen. If you left tomorrow and they saw this, like, oh yes,
bro. It's not more so about the religion point of view that I want people to negate themselves or separate. It is the Black church. Like, it brings us down to tear us back up, but tears us back up when like we're down. But it's just a complete mental and social, like the cliques that happen in the Black, like just from the cliques to the beliefs and just like, again, people get held up in the ideological point of view of a pastor. Like, let me challenge you this. I know that people like their churches that they go to, but if the ultimate goal is to praise God, why does it matter where we do it or what church you go to? Oh no, I got to go to my church. Why does it matter? And again, to argue the religious, it goes into that capitalism because while we do, not even that. While we do read the Bible, people read the Bible in a literal stand of view. But even if you wanted to look at it as an example point of view of women can't preach, women can't this. It's again a social construct where they're controlling women's rights. And it's like I said this to a family member of mine. If the ultimate goal of religion is to love God and everyone needs to know about God, if that's the ultimate goal, do you think that God will control who can say his name and who can tell him and all that type of stuff? Because you know that in Baptist Christian beliefs, women can't preach in the pulpit. Women can be evangelists, they can be deaconesses, but they can't preach. You mean to tell me if I finally got in front of God?
So was your church in Trenton upholding that?
They still are, but the main reason I left was for something legal the church was going on with that was the last straw for me. I don't want to get into that part because it had nothing to do with me and it is a complete legal thing, which is why I didn't say the name of the church. But in that aspect, like, I get it. And that's another thing. It's still that continuous fight of he's a man of God, so he's held at a higher standard. But when he commits a sin, he's a man of God. He's a human. Which one, bro? Which one is it? Which one is it? Help me figure it out. Like, and that's where I think it gets difficult for our generation is because we are the literal generation. So all that, it's a hard time for me to have faith. Our ancestors have faith and they still right here.
Right. Dichotomy.
It's a controlling mindset that people don't realize. Like I said, it's not to say you're not to have any religious beliefs, because I do think that is what helped Black people keep going in the Jim Crow era. And that era, I do think that is how we got attached to religion, is because we came up with those hymns while we were in the field. We came up with those hymns to get us continuous going, and we turned it into our church. I get it. But leaders are not, I would say that the pastor who was acting, you ever seen the movie The Color Purple? Oh, you sure? Oh,
I know.
It's I'm not gonna say run and go do it, but I was saying it because I think that the pastor that was acting in The Color Purple was a better acting pastor than all these pastors Why pastors nowadays are bringing in mayoral candidates in the Sunday service? I remember sometimes I go to church and the pastor be like, yeah, Jaheim is in our audience. The R&B secular singer.
You want to get a word.
But you had to shout him out?
Right, okay.
Why you had to shout him out for one?
Why are you
shouting him out? If this is about us coming to praise the Lord, why are you shouting out different people that come, for one?
Right.
Two, if it's all about, again, Christians are not supposed to judge, but if we are judging, we're not supposed to listen to secular music and he's a secular singer. Why?
And then you're elevating him.
Yep. It's just it's a big.
I can't believe you gotta give it to him.
I know.
Listen, let me tell you, let me just make sure we get this clear.
Yes.
This is about everything that's holding us back.
True. Religion,
so the church
capitalism.
And all this thing, this is not an unfamiliar topic on the podcast.
Yeah.
My mom is a very conservative Christian.
Yeah.
I was raised Christian conservative.
Yeah.
And I know the limits of the church. And when we're talking about freedom here, we have to really dismantle anything that's keeping us back. And that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm proud of what I'm doing, because I'm like, we have to tell them, we have to say it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we may have to just wait for them to die, because
no, that's not gonna happen. Like I said, this is so extreme, but I feel like the only literal way we can completely get rid of racism in America is by bombing everyone in the world. Because think about it, okay?
We're not gonna get rid of it.
Well, that's the thing.
The goal is not to get rid of it. The goal
of
is
America. Yes, we need to get rid of America. Because, like I said, I don't think people think as far back. America was started on discrimination. They literally, for what? Like, I find it funny that we're fighting. What does that have to do with
the church?
I find it funny that we're fighting. Oh, because those religious premonitions started back then. Mm-hmm. Like that's what it has to do with the church. I find it funny that we're fighting for African American rights to be integrated, not rights, history. Thank you, history to be integrated or continued in the system. When again, like I said, they came and took this land from the Native Americans, and we barely hear anything of their history.
Yeah,
this was their land. So that's what I'm saying. Off of the notion, everyone, like I said, the hypocrisy. Ancestors, yes, everyone knows about America's slavery. Everyone knows, even if there was someone else in South America. It's so funny. I saw an ad in Germany where they're making fun of us for being obese, saying like, oh my God, it's so bad to live in America. They eat tons of sugar. Everyone knows about our problems. And I say that because it only takes one person who knew about America's slavery to come back and restart slavery. That's why everyone has to be destroyed. Because if you know about slavery, what stops you from making someone a slave? Yeah, we have laws, but not really. We have laws in place to stop us from being slaves, but we've also become modern day slaves. They're killing us.
Fingers crossed. That's dark.
What?
That's dark.
It is dark, but America's history is dark. And that's what people don't realize. To get out of that darkness, no, it's not saying get as dark as them. But each time we try to start over and forget.
What about the church? You were saying something about the church.
The church needs to be dismantled like America. The church is America.
I was reading, Frederick Douglass's biography, autobiography. And he was saying that the worst slave owners were the ones who were the biggest Christians. That's literally Frederick Douglass said.
Because they will open up that Bible and be like, it's meant for me to meet your, see
exactly.
This? And that's what I'm saying, that religion was rooted in capitalism.
Frederick Douglass said that, like he wrote it. He, as a slave, he said the worst slave masters were the bigger Christians.
Literally would sit in front of your master and he'd be like, I'm supposed to beat y'all. The Lord God has told me to make y'all a slave.
That's exactly what it says.
Exactly. And it's just like, no. Get that mind out, get out of that mindset for my people. You were never meant to be put down in any way. So stop letting religion do the same thing to you.
So I have some diehard Christians on my show who would quickly tell you that the Bible was being misused. The Bible's a perfect book, but it was being misused. It's not the Bible that's wrong. It was the people misusing it.
You know, I can agree with that. And I feel like this is when this misuse happened. Everyone that's saying the Bible is a perfect book, call me back when we're done reading the King James Version. The King James Version. Again, I say, this is not King Jesus Version. This is not King God's version. This is not King Holy Spirit Version. This is a King's Bible that we could be reading. Has anyone ever put it into context that we could be reading something that someone else has written? It's not the true literal Bible.
No. We're all, this is God's holy, perfect words, translated, handed down through time, unaffected by anything.
That game telephone is a game for a reason.
Right.
And I don't think, again, that's where modern Christianity becomes a problem for me. I don't even think alone we're reading the correct version of the Bible.
Right.
Because the thing is, you can tell, I feel as though it was socially constructed to what people wanted to say, because why do we need to start reading when Jesus reads and read?
Say that again.
You know, in the Bible, in certain verses, more so in the New Testament, the New Testament is thought of to be Jesus' hyperbole, him telling his story.
His words, yeah.
Why, if this is Jesus' words, why isn't the whole New Testament in red if it's him telling his story? Why is only when he talks? Yes, I get it. When he talks, it's in red. But the point is for you to know when Jesus is talking. If this is his not to say revelation, because that's a book of the Bible. If this is his,
that's nice. That's nice. You get a pound for that. I like that.
And I can't. And that's when people. Well, you just have to have faith. Okay.
Listen.
I have the faith.
Here's my thing, and I can't get over this. And again, raised Christian conservative, but this book was used to justify slavery. The Pope, the Vatican, Catholicism validated slavery. And now here we are still sending our money to the Pope, still under the same religion that made us slaves. And we're Black. Like, I understand if you're white and you're white supremacist, like, yeah, I got to support the Vatican. But why are Black people supporting the Vatican?
You know what's so funny? I'm not sure when this happened, because it's not to say I don't care about world events, but like when so much is going on, wasn't it during COVID that Notre Dame like burned down and that got built up like that? But then when we need other things, granted, that wasn't our country, so I can see, but we're really keeping such a historical landmark.
Wait. I'm the same, everything you said, 100%. Right? When it's time to feed people, when it's time to build the school, we don't have the money. When it's time for, epidemics and this and that, we don't have the money. But the minute COVID hit, here's $10 trillion. Like,
the thing is, I don't think we still have the money. I don't think we have the money for it. I just think that
we know the whole money system's not real.
Another conversation. No, it's not real.
We know
the fact that, and people don't realize that as a part of politics, the fact that we can go from cash for everything to credit card lets you know that money is what's the perfect word for this? Not immortal, because we definitely need money to survive.
Money is a made-up concept.
Yes. The fact that banks can hypothetically loan us money that they don't even know we have lets you know, like credit cards. All of a sudden, people along it, they don't. It just.
It's a system of control. Money is a system of control. The reality is humanity needs a currency of exchange. That's a fact.
Yeah.
But at some point, when the government took control of that system of exchange and started printing money just because they wanted to, we lost a sense of the real value of things.
Definitely.
And we're suffering from that.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to dismantle capitalism and fix it, you have to look at the church and its role and the way we interact with it. And we have to look at our economy and how we treat our currency and all of these things.
Yeah, without a doubt.
These things, again, I'm one of the things that I'm hoping that the podcast does, and I know it's long and the average person won't watch it, but the goal is to have these conversations. And
Mhm.
at some point, if you really don't know, yeah, I didn't know that. I remember when I was 13, 14, and 15, I didn't know what the Federal Reserve System
Mhm.
was.
Yes.
You have to learn these things.
Yeah, you do.
And some people kind of heard it in passing, and they didn't study it, they haven't read the books. But you have to understand that,
And that goes more into our school system and capitalism, because
course.
now it's being focused on more now, as like you said, the times are changing. Honestly, America's system is so capitalistic that I think that if people don't know about America's system, it's America's fault. And people could say, no, it's their own fault. No, this system is so capitalistic. Like you said, you didn't know about the Federal Reserve. I don't think that is your fault, because America pushes its own like education agenda that is so tailored to them that people are still not knowing proper information about it. People
I
are still like,
mentioned-
what are the three branches of the government?
I mentioned Rockefeller,
Mhm.
and the idea is they wanted an education system so that when it was time for you to be of working age, you knew enough so you could work in the factory. You knew enough so you could work, get a job. So the point is, before the public school system, when they needed workers, they literally had to teach them to read. They had to teach them, okay, these are your numbers. So school was a way to make sure you were ready to get a job. And it's still that. School was never a system for you to learn to be fully empowered individual.
I feel that. I do agree with that. That school was never meant to be to empower the individual, and that's why I think private school did take a scepter, because kids started to learn and individualize and provide more power for themselves. You get what I mean? Public
Mhm.
school was like, why are you speaking up? And private
Mhm.
school got that notion that if my child is taught the right things with their ideas, they can speak about it. That's where people learn to professionally voice their opinion, to be honest. Not into say private school, but it gives more of that opportunity. A lot of people don't learn that until college. I say that to say, what was your point you said?
Public school system.
Yes, the public school system needs to change, because it's a funny little tweet that goes on. But in high school, we learn this thing called like Pythagorean theorem, where it's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. To this day, we make jokes on Twitter and we say, I still never have used the Pythagorean theorem, but I still don't know how to do my own taxes.
Right.
And granted, I know it's American system for Americans not to know how to do their own taxes. So we'll have to pay someone else, or usually we'll pay an accountant because they went to college and that's part of the system. I get it. So like you said, it's not meant to empower. But to this day, we don't learn enough to help us get a job.
Right.
Like, honestly, I find it more valuable that our VOTEC schools do more for kids than regular public schools, because it's actually teaching them something practical with their hands,
Right.
that they can then produce something for themselves afterward. When you go to the public school, you have to hope to get the best grades to go to the best college.
So here's underlying all of this.
Yeah.
Right? This is my underlying fear. That the real elites of our world know exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They know exactly what all the problems that you think are problems are not problems. These were systematic hurdles in place.
Yeah.
And if we were to organize, if we were to fix ourselves, if we were to figure out a way to maneuver these hurdles, they would put more. I think you hinted to that. And the reality is, they're willing to make up fake wars, make a draft, poison the water, put drugs, create COVID.
Yeah.
That's I don't even talk about that much, because I think that most people don't even want to hear that.
Most people don't want to hear it or accept it. Like how I made that analogy to the Hunger Games. That's literally how I think of America at times. And another show people don't want to watch because they don't want to accept it is The Handmaid's Tale, about how it turned into more so a republic that we live in, and the government controls every aspect of what you do. People don't want to watch that show because they're afraid that it can really happen in a snap of. We don't have our own choices as much as we think we do. And when you said you're scared of that, I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to continue to happen. But I guess I'm not afraid of it, because I think what's really helping us now is the people kind of like myself who want to get to that professional realm of where, not to say I want to get where Caucasian people are. I guess to say when people get to the equal table with Caucasian people, that's when they play both sides. And they play both sides for numerous reasons. They play both sides to keep their job, to make sure that they can be better than the white man. Because think about it, how many people, white and black people, start off in a position and just be like, hey, like I want to be better than that person, because for one, we're taught we have to be 2 times better. No, we have to be, there is no amount of better Black people can be to be equal to white people once we get, and not to say white people are the standard, but America, they make white people the standard. Whatever white people accomplish, they then make it the standard. Oh, Black people are now getting bachelors, white people are getting masters. That's the standard. Now you gotta have a master's for this job. Oh, y'all are able to get masters now? You gotta get a PhD.
Now it's where did you get the PhD?
Like I said to you, my aunt said that they're only hiring the top. That's to my knowledge. They may have changed the top 25 universities in the country.
Not surprised.
No, I'm not surprised either. Yeah. Because again, America has this thing of like the best of the best, but just because you go to the top 25 university doesn't mean you're the best. It just means that you were given an opportunity.
It's a game.
Exactly.
I think it's just made up hurdles. In the end of the end, when you look at it, it doesn't have to make sense anymore. It's just all made up hurdles.
It literally is all made up hurdles in small ways. And like, for example, when you said they created COVID, the hurdles that are being made just for that, it could just keep creating something. Oh, you got to get vaccinated. Oh, you got to do this. Oh, you got to wear a mask. Oh, you can't eat in here. You can't bring a drink in here, but we're going to have the cafe open where you can take your mask down and share your germs. But me bringing this cup throughout the library makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Just an example of continuous made up hurdles, whether they're serious or not serious.
Right.
America just keeps making them up.
Right.
Like,
how else do you keep 5, 6, 700 million people in line? You gotta have when you go to the airport and they have you going through that maze.
Yeah.
Have you ever been there and it's like completely empty?
Yep.
And you're like, why do I still have to go through this maze?
Exactly.
It's completely empty.
Yeah.
It's like that. That's how life is. There are these hurdles and these lanes and these things and this, that, but they're just made up. You could easily just go under or move the hurdles, but then you'd have 700 million people who were free. Like, imagine if America, everyone was free. The reality, So here, since we've gotten to the point, and I'll tell you this, most of my podcasts don't get there. So I appreciate you taking the time, right? And it's not shade to them, but most people don't make enough time to go there, right? Well, underneath all of these things is, again, the elites who hide behind. There's the elites who are hiding behind the politicians, hiding behind. And the billionaires who we have on the Forbes list, they don't even put themselves on the Forbes.
Nope.
They're just hiding behind there. You don't even know who they are. A part of me, so I've gotten to all the different shades of the Illuminati, right? Because that's the word we use. It's like, we know this exists on some level. It's clear, So on some level, you might say, well, the Illuminati is racist. And I don't think the Illuminati is racist. Meaning, the Illuminati doesn't care. If you're Black or white or Asian, we don't care.
Yeah.
Like, they have no preference for people.
Yeah.
The Illuminati is just trying to control humanity, to keep us, like, if you have a farm, you don't want your farm going crazy.
Yeah.
You keep things structured so you can harvest when you want, you can milk when you want, and you're like, oh, I have a great farm. That's basically it. So it's not that you love the sheep more than the cows. You have to keep them all in line. And if you have to put the sheep against the cows and make the horse hate the donkeys, then you do what you got to do to keep your farm in line.
Yeah.
Most people won't go there. Most people believe the talking heads on NBC and Fox News. They literally think, oh no, they're right. Oh, they really care. Obama did his best. Like, they're unable to see past the veil. So most of my conversations don't go there. It's this kind of thing of, it turns into like conspiracy theory, and it's common sense.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. It kind of sucks. I only say because I want to be a talking head, but I don't. That's why I kind of want to change the ideology of how.
If you're not able to talk like a talking head only, like if you start to go beyond, if talking head can only say this much, if you start saying you know, your PhD will get revoked, your lights will turn off, you'd be like, why her phone don't work no more, and she went missing.
You know what's so funny?
Like, let's be honest.
While I still strive to have a college degree, that's a personal goal of my own. It's not because of white supremacy. It's just a goal that honestly personal, my family and my grandmother wanted me to achieve before she passed away. And I feel like I want to achieve it. And plus I know I can achieve it. That's why I want it. But I say this, wait, what's the point you made?
If you go too far, you can't be a
I say this
head.
To say with me wanting to become a talking head, I honestly want to be a social media turned talking head, so that, yes, I've explained to you, I want to be like, my goal job would be a talking head and a professional student. But I really, really, really want people to know that if you bring me on as a talking head, I'm going to do just this. If they were to say to me, oh, Sydney, come in on CNN, let's talk about how we can dismantle my white privilege, and they send me an email saying, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. No, please, like, that's, I think, not to say the difference in this generation. We're willing to, I know I am willing to take a stand until we get what we deserve. And this country is not giving us what we deserve in our generation. Like how you're saying, we want help, we want this. You're not, it's not what we deserve. I'm not gonna come, if you think I'm a talking head and you've seen on my social media what I talk about and how passionate I am about things, I'm not going to limit my words so that it's good for your.
No, like you said, when you go on there, it's exciting to them to hear a Black person say all these.
Well, and that, and that's the thing. For Black people, you're brought on those two different platforms. Like, oh, let's bring a Black person on that we know we're gonna agree with all our points. Or let's bring a Black person on who's diverse and new to the field, and she brings an exciting new thing to the table, a riveting new racism experience. Yeah. Until my energy is telling y'all to quit y'all jobs and hire people of color to have them, and then it's just like, oh, wait a minute, you're doing too damn much.
But this is what I'm saying. Fox News would love to have you. You would stir up whatever, and it's all good. Okay. The minute you go off the air, they'll talk shit about you. Oh, whatever. What school did she go to? You know, they'll say their little snarky things.
Yeah, you're right.
Here's the thing: you're not a threat to the system. What you're talking about does not threaten the system at all. Because you're gonna come off angry and this and that and all that. That's not a threat to the system. It's not a
threat.
So they don't mind.
Which is crazy, but it's not a threat until I get as big as Malcolm X or Martin Luther King.
That's a threat to the system.
Exactly. But I guess that's one thing that they don't realize. We can support our people when we want to. And I'm gonna say, if there are Black people who are on board or people of color, what I'm saying, that's how we get pushed to the forefront as leaders. For example, AOC.
Yeah.
She took her, it's not to say like she took her guest, but she wanted to be a congresswoman, she did it. And now she's bringing up topics like this that, as you see, when people like myself who really, I would say she's shaking the table because she is an immediate, not lawmaker, but a law decider. And
she's gonna run for president.
Oh God, yes. And when she does, if she keeps on her forefront like she's doing, like we said, politics is a game, but that's what I also think is different with this generation. We know the game of politics. We know the games.
Here's the thing: AOC is my favorite next president. She's my favorite.
Oh, true. I forgot you said that. Yours, yes.
Who's your favorite next president?
I don't think I can say, or I'm not going to say, because for one, there are still people like me who,
respect for that.
Well, not even to say I'm going to run for president. It's to say that there are people who are not given the opportunity, like AOC, who are still going to run for president. So to say like we know everyone, yeah. But if it had to be, I think she won't be old enough in 2024 because I think
she needs a little more time.
Yeah, she needs enough.
I would say, in the 2030s. The buzz is gonna grow. This is a stretch. I don't know what's gonna happen in 10 years, but based on her current trajectory, if she stays on that path,
she's done.
She would be a great She's my favorite next president.
I agree. She would be I think she would be a great president. I think she would be a great leader.
Here's the thing, and this is why I'm glad we are where we are. By the time AOC runs for president, hypothetically she wins, it's not going to make a difference.
It's not, because that's what I was just about to say with this capitalism system and them making an age requirement for when you need to be president. We need her as president now or in 2024, because again, not even to say just off something basic. She's pushing for the Green New Deal or green. Yes, we need those changes in our economy and like now, not when she becomes president and someone's going to approve it. Like she tried, Bernie Sanders agreed with her. Bernie Sanders ran for president. Bernie Sanders pushed that. He agreed with it. I'm saying in that aspect, we need younger candidates now, because for one, the changes and causes that they want to change, we need that change now. But again, it's not going to be elected, and they're not going to change the social construct if you need to be 35 to 40, however old you need to be president.
I think it's 50 something.
Are you kidding?
I may be wrong. But so here's the point that I feel like you kind of were on it and then you flipped off of it again.
That could probably happen.
Watch this.
Yeah.
All of these things are in place for a reason, right? When the founding fathers sat down and they were doing what they were doing, they knew
what they were doing.
They knew that we are the minority. They the elite class.
See, and that's where I want to challenge our and my people's thinking. No, they did that because they knew we were the majority.
That's what I'm saying.
When you said that we were the minority,
the founding fathers
were
knew
they
were
got you. They were the minority. Yes. And yes. And they needed laws to protect themselves. So what they did is literally make monopoly all of that, a monopoly, that game is a symbolism of America.
So
pass $200 to pass go. Like I said, everyone doesn't have the opportunity. What if I couldn't go with what if I don't have $200?
So that's the thing that has continued, is the idea that the elites are the few. And how do we control the majority? So even who can be president, how old you have to be president, that means you have to know the game well enough for us to trust you enough to kind of, we can't have some 19-year-old doing.
That's what that means. Because I feel like we get it. Trump does not know politics. That is one thing I think we could admit. That man didn't know politics. I don't even think he can. I don't even think he can admittedly say. No, I think he knows politics. See, yes,
I think that was a part of his gimmick. I'm this dumb white
I think that he knows the games of politics, but when it comes down to, like, let me say how the country was historically ran or what a president is supposed to do, I don't think he knew much about that.
He's not he wasn't as educated.
Yes. And it's not to say like, oh, I don't even know if he did or didn't go to college, but just off the bat, he did not seem like a very educated person when it came to normal life problems, presidential life problems, anything like that. Wait, you said, why were we talking about this? You said,
they have limits for a reason.
I don't think it's to say you're not old enough, you don't have enough common sense. I think it's to keep that economic surge.
You're not old enough to play the game.
Literally.
Our game, the elite game. You're thinking like a human being. You have to stop. You have to now think like one of us. And that's the thing. Like, this is a real thing here.
It is. It's really, it's not to say it's a shame, but it is, because like.
It is.
When you just, like I said, when you just sit back and look at America, like you really, it's a dark cloud. Like I said, and I whispered to you guys, we don't even control our own news. Right. Like I remember when I was in like middle school and I learned like North Korea's news is controlled, until I was in high school and was like, why aren't we hearing about this? Why aren't we hearing about that? Why aren't we hearing about this? Like, for example, the focus now is on Ukraine and Russia. I think because they're really coming to a head with that whole Capitol riot thing, because Ivanka Trump was just pulled into it. So I think they're going to change our viewpoint like the news does. But it's just like, America's so deep in this. Like it's sad to say, because I think, and not to say I can speak on this because I'm very grateful I have not been put in that situation. I think that there are honestly still people in our history that will say, I don't want America to be moved on because my son was killed violently and I don't want to move on until he get justice. Or people who were killed regularly, Black people who were. So I'm saying, we're saying we want America to move on past racism, past everything that is going on. But I want to say that I think that there are still people of color who say, no, I don't want to move on because the justice for my son was not rendered. And until we move on. But the thing is that it's not to say it's sad and not to say that it wouldn't, your son doesn't deserve justice. But if we keep saying here, we'll not move on. Like, that's like it's to say, okay.
So Black people who are, I agree with you. Black people who are focused on racism, it's keeping them back.
No, I think Black people who are focused on justice, it's keeping them back.
Right, and I agree with you. Yeah. I agree with you. And that's what I was saying to you about the victim mindset.
I don't think a victim mindset is wanting justice. I think that a woman, like,
I mean, a victim wants justice.
But they're two different type of victims. Her son was killed. I'm talking about someone who was born into the system and can't try to get their, like, you get what I mean? Like, okay, say for example, I have a younger brother and it's my mom. My mom wants different justice than me. I'm a 26-year-old.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
They trip you up because you don't got it. They trip her up because her son died. They tripping us all up. And these are all the hurdles.
But I think we're looking for different justice.
It doesn't matter. As long as they tripped up, you can look for whatever you want.
It does matter to a different degree because we're talking about different racism and different white superiority. She's looking at white superiority with crime. I'm looking at white superiority with the work system and me earning money. While it is, like you said, all one, it's two different issues. The Black killings and the jobs that Black people are not getting are two different issues. So while I get you said, it is a victim mindset, but it's two different mindsets. She's a literal victim. I'm a mental victim. Not even a mental victim, but.
So not just the mindset, but so then here's the thing, right? There's physical hurdles, there's mental hurdles.
Yeah.
Right? So all of these hurdles are real hurdles.
Yeah.
And I'm saying there's so many hurdles.
Yeah.
Like most people don't even think freedom's possible. Most people don't even think we can get past capitalism. Most people don't think we can rewrite the Constitution. Most people are just like, we're stuck here. This is it. And, one of the terms that I've used is a bold reimagining, right? I think our conversation is going that way. The only way out of this is a bold reimagining.
Yeah.
And that's also called the revolution.
Yeah.
And, I can't remember if this was 100% right, but can there be a bloodless revolution? I don't know. But I'm not necessarily trying to signal anything. I'm just more saying, I'm talking about all these things, right? And as Black people, if you're not willing to, fight physically in the form of blood, we have to align ourselves to get out the hurdles we can. You can't fix all the hurdles, but the ones you can fix them. Like the tripping up on the church is still happening.
Yeah.
And so that's something we can fix. And that's why I'm not afraid to talk about the church.
Yeah.
I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm still critical of the church.
Yeah.
I'm still critical of how we believe the Bible.
Yes.
And the things that the Bible says we can't. There's still, like you said, women who are told, oh, the man is the head of the household, and they're like feeling shackled. Not just in America, but all across the board.
Yeah.
Like these things are still, all of these are hurdles.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna get to this bold reimagining freedom, we have to dismantle all of these things. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm not afraid to talk about the church. I'm not afraid to look at the economy and how we're printing money unnecessarily. And then after we print the money, who does it go to?
Literally.
All this Bitcoin money is going to someone. And it's not us.
Well, the Bitcoin money are going to the people who already live in the metaverse. And that's another conversation, that this ideology of money and its fake congruity has led us to the metaverse. Like, y'all be ready when we, like, I don't know if you're keeping up with it, but people are saying like they're taking interviews and meetings in the metaverse. They're like, what?
Are you not okay with the metaverse?
I'm okay with it, just on the outlook of like, I really think that that's where we're going to be moving towards. And I really think, like you said, if we can take any hurdle, let's take a hurdle in knowing how to control the metaverse. Because it's about to hit people hard, from even the fact that people may say like, I think there's a reason Mark Zuckerberg changed the name of Facebook to Meta, and now we're focusing on the metaverse, the whole Bitcoin thing. Like we're moving into a different society of imaginative figures that we need. Bro, pretty soon they're about to be like, all our degrees are moved to the metaverse.
Are you worried about the metaverse? Let me do one thing. Tell me. Go ahead. Are you worried about the metaverse?
I'm worried about it in the fact that I think this is going to be another world where white people try to construct it and keep us out.
It's not going to stop.
Oh, no. Not at all.
It's happening.
Definitely. It's not going to stop at all, but I don't know to say if I'm more so worried about it. I do know that it'll be a realistic thing of ours to face.
So are you seeing it working? Are you seeing it good? And what do you see?
I don't think I've followed that far, honestly, to speak about it, to see if it's going to be working. Or I really want to see what they want to, like, what do they want out of the metaverse? It's just, you ever seen that movie Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey? It's basically about how he worked for NASA as an astronaut, and he was just kind of trying to convince NASA we're going to pretty much need to live on another world in a couple of years, but he got caught up in that world that he kind of like stayed on another planet. And then his daughter became an astronaut, and while he lost track of time, she finished up his mission. And it's just to say, it's giving Interstellar vibes. Like we're just like, we couldn't find anywhere to live on Mars, so we're gonna live in like a hypothetical like universe. Like, what if people can't access the metaverse?
The problem's growing, I think, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And now the metaverse is just another place for the problem to exist. Most of us agree with that.
It honestly just seems like another hurdle for Black people.
That's true.
Honestly, now that we sit here, and it just seems like it's going to be another hurdle for people of color. And your thing came up. It got a little notification.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine. No.
But yeah, I think it's going to be another thing for Black people to hurdle. Just off the premise.
I mean, let's put it this way. So what's happening? All right, let's look. Like when the Civil War happened, America was this size financially, right? Financially, now we're like this big. We've gotten huge, right? GDP, the economy has grown. That's what I'm saying with all of this, right? Back then, white people were here and Black people were here. When the economy grew, white people went all the way up here, and we're still here.
Yep.
So you're saying when the metaverse comes, they'll be through the roof and we'll still be here. That's what you're saying.
I'm not sure if I'm exactly saying that. I'm just saying that
it's going to be more problems for us.
It's going to be more problems. Just like the premise of like people knowing what the metaverse is.
We're being left behind.
It's literally
another hurdle. Sorry.
It's another hurdle. It's another natural selection. Honestly, another round of natural selection. COVID was the first round in the last 2 years, because it's like honestly, at this point, if COVID makes sense to you, you're the ones that created it. Why do we have to get a vaccine if effectively we can wear a mask to protect us? And if we need to wear a mask everywhere, why do I need a vaccine? And the thing is, if I needed a vaccine, why didn't y'all come out with one sooner? And the thing is, if we need a vaccine to protect us against everything, why don't we have vaccines against cold, strep throat? What else can you get? Like it honestly, it's just another natural selection thing. Like, oh, we're about to go thrive in the metaverse. If you can't get it, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's another form of natural selection. Like, you can continue your personal realm or your personal point of view or your professional life if you can join us in the metaverse. Like I said, some people are not even gonna know. Like, think about people.
My mom's not joining the metaverse.
My mom is not joining the metaverse, and she was born in the 70s.
She's not. No, they're not joining the metaverse. Like,
no, and again, it's just another. The metaverse is gonna trip, amongst others, the baby boomers up. And it's crazy because of going with the COVID thing. I heard a conspiracy with COVID was a thing to get rid of the baby boomers. Because think about it, kids, people who were born in the 70s or earlier, not baby boomers, people who were born like in the 50s and the 40s, considered baby boomers, are older now, and they are the ones who are mostly affected with getting COVID. Other people get COVID, you're in the hospital, but older people were really being taken out. And it's just like, it's another, I think, like you said, hurdle, but just another, if people believe in natural selection, another form of natural selection, the survival of the fittest.
It's definitely not natural selection.
Well, no, not natural. Let's just call it survival of the fittest.
Right.
Whoever can get in and beat it. And...
You said survival of the fittest, right? And I do think that has been a theme throughout humanity, right? When the white people went to Africa and invaded, the strongest will prevail. And that's how, you know, Europe took over Africa, because they were able to beat them. And so, yeah, if you're not able to keep up with the metaverse, you're going to fall behind. That's what you're saying. And absolutely. If you're already behind and you're already tripped up and you already can't keep up, you're going to get more behind.
Yeah.
I think that's the simplicity of what you're saying. And it's true. And that's not a mystery or a fact, you know, like we said, you know, these cryptocurrencies are, you hear it every day.
Yeah.
It's quadrupling, and, you know, it's only widening the
margin,
right, the poverty gap, and it's a real thing. So the reality is, at some point, they're gonna have people just living off the system, and that's what the universal basic income is. That's what it is. And my big question is, like, from today till the day the universal basic income, whatever that gap is, people are going to suffer. Mm-hmm. So that means you have people who are, let's say you're 40 or 50 years old, you get injured or something, you can't work anymore. Mm-hmm. You're just going to fall behind.
I think that, again, like I said, depends on a case by case basis.
But the average person, let's say you're already retired. Let's say someone retired today. They have enough money for today. Mm-hmm. They're 68, mm-hmm. right? 68 years old, you've retired. I got my money, here it is. Mm-hmm. You're gonna live another 20 years. Like, they're gonna fall further behind. You know, like, this thing is, the world's moving on.
I don't know. I think it differs. I think each situation differs. I know someone in my family, like you said, that gave the example of they're in their 40s and 50s, and she got hurt and had to take time off of work, but she was able to get back to her lifestyle and how it was. It didn't fall behind in any way, shape, or form. But her job, you know, America will give your job out in a heartbeat. Her job wasn't given away, and she had to have extensive surgery. I also know older people who are in their 50s and 60s, and they're retired. And because they have younger children or children of my age commonly talking about things, they want to learn. My grandma was in her 70s, and when the iPhone 8 came out, she was like, I want to learn how to talk and text. There are older people who want to get with the time of things and don't have the resource to learn, or they have no one to talk to. They don't even know, like, Google. I say to everyone, look everything up on YouTube. People say Google, I say YouTube, how to do this, how to do that, how to do that. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's even people that knows, like, that don't know, just search it. Just like, there's probably a TikTok out there that will show you the basic ideologies or thoughts of what is going on in the metaverse. And like you said, you're surprised. Yes, there's those resources. So I said it to say, like, I think there are, like, that is what I think there are going to be people who will be able to learn, who are untraditionally going to be in the metaverse. You get what I mean? I think we're going to have our few, but then I think, like you said, they're going to create more hurdles, or that's when they make it inclusive and say, well, hey, you made it this far, might as well include them in the group. Like they say to Black people, like, hey, you made it to Princeton, might as well include you. You made it to UCLA, might as well include you.
I'm going to try to wrap it up and summarize, right?
Got you.
When it all comes down to it, whoever these elites are, I think they're more concerned with productivity. If you're a productive member contributing to their society, their plan, then you will be compensated. So it doesn't matter, you could be black, extra black. If you start a company that's doing well, a new internet bank, cryptocurrency, and it's doing well, you know, the way it looks now for the most part, you will be allowed to thrive. If the next Jeff Bezos was black,
No.
kudos.
No.
This is and then I'll let you.
Okay.
Kudos to him. He can exist. Tyler Perry, you can exist. We love you. You're black. No problem. Right? So on an individual level, they love anyone who's gonna perform, who's gonna, bring the returns, all these things. What's happening though is the large holistic group, we're not all progressing at the same rate. We have the outliers who are progressing and moving the bar, spreading the income gap and moving ahead. And you have the larger group who's not moving ahead. Then you have the groups that are moving ahead. Latinos are a new group moving ahead, right? Indians are moving ahead. Caucasians are keeping up and moving ahead and progressing. I think you have a specific interest in helping the African American community keep up and move ahead. Mm-hmm. So I also do, and I do think that we have to, again, for that community, pull together, work together, and really, really reevaluate what our society is based on. Are we buying Jordans? Do we care about weave or natural hair, or do we care about Louis Vuitton? Like, should we be supporting Black designers? Like, all of these things, like, we have to really center ourselves, mm-hmm. because these things are really still affecting us. Like, in the 90s, it matters, and now we're in 2022. Does it still matter? Do we still care? I mean, should we? Is it holding us back?
I don't think we should care. I don't think we should care. I think a big problem that happens generationally is everybody pocket watches. And the thing is, I could say to you, okay, let's not buy Jordans. Jordans are branded by Michael Jordan, a Black man. So we should stop supporting. Granted, it's bigger than that now. It's sold to Nike and all these other companies. But the originality of he's a Black basketball player doing very, very well. Let's
Jordan
support
don't
him.
Need us.
Okay, neither does any rich person that say we have this water bottle Trader Joe's, say a Black person owned Trader Joe's. Mm-hmm. Like, he don't need us to buy his water, we just do. I think
all of our dollars should be spent in a way that aligns with our values.
True, and it's to say, like I said, with the pocket watching, how do you know that Jordans aren't allowed in my values? I may have a generational thing where it's like, back when Jordans wasn't nothing, me and my dad would go to the sneaker store the way old sneakers was. That may be a value. If we can afford, and that's another thing I did want to say, a big concept of this is, compared to the money you earn, compared to the money you spend, is going to be a big gap. If you make $200,000, a pair of Jordans, regular leverage, not given there any designer or exclusive release, can be like, they can be as low as like $100. They're each priced differently.
Right.
But I get to say, with that pocket watching, you made the example of how we should buy Black. Jordan is Black. You get what I mean? Like, yeah. And the thing is,
I don't think we should randomly buy Black. Like, if Cardi B starts making watches, that's not our cue to go buy Cardi B's watch.
Why? So, what if I'm a celebrity?
We're talking about moving forward.
Yeah.
Like, an individual can do whatever an individual wants.
Yeah.
But if the race is moving forward.
But think about what you're saying. You're saying that this conversation started with you saying we need to work together.
Yes.
Just because Cardi B has made it doesn't mean we shouldn't support her.
No, what I'm saying is, not just because she's Black, we're gonna support her. This is what we need to move forward. We need businesses that are gonna support the community. So it don't make sense you support Jordan, Cardi B, Nas, Little Nas X, and it doesn't make sense you just support them because they're Black. To me, that doesn't make sense.
I mean, I think to a certain extent,
it doesn't matter if they're white. If they're supporting the community, that's who we stick with. We don't just ride with you because you're Black.
And again, I think it's situational, because there are people who will support that are Black, that support the community, that aren't good. And we're supporting them. That's what I'm saying. I think it's situational, because if Cardi B came out with watches, yes, I would support her. You know why? Because while it may not be known, there was a girl who went missing in Connecticut on a blind date. And you're like, oh, where is this? Cardi B used her platform to bring up justice officials to speak about that. Right. So Cardi B may be a bad example, because she actually does a lot for the community. No, I know, me neither. Or I'm not super Cardi B, but I'm saying, there are actually Black people who may already, like, I get your point. Like, we don't need to support them
just
because they're Black, because sometimes there are Black people who have businesses and their intent to help is not there. We're supporting them this whole time. I get that. However, I do want to say that may still be the problem of our mentality now, because like I said, you started off the conversation saying we need to stick together. When you stick together, you don't pick and choose who you want to support.
It has to make sense. Like, okay, Kanye West is now making puffer jackets for Gap. I have to go support that because he's Black. No.
I honestly, like I said, think it's a situational thing, because a lot of people did that.
An individual can do whatever an individual wants. We're saying collectively for the race to move forward.
We need to.
We need. Here's the thing. Like back in the day, you know, there was people like Jesse Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously we had the good ones like Martin Luther King. But we need someone who can sit down and
and that's where I said it's situational.
I was going to say we need someone who can help us come up with a clear plan, right? Like at one point, maybe that would be the pastors or something.
But you know how you were saying that when people have these businesses, it needs to make sense. We need to support them. We can't be supporting them and then in their like they're doing something wrong.
Right.
I challenge your mindset on Martin Luther King. They said he was great to the community, but was a dog to his family. So that's still your boy?
What did he do to his family?
As we know, reading sources. I know
he cheated on his wife.
That's one. What? I know he cheated on his wife. That's one thing.
But you just like say he dogged his family.
Cheating on your wife is being a dog.
I'm not saying no.
Granted, yes, each situation has their problems, but it's crazy how like it's already not looked at as bad that he cheated on Coretta. That off the bat. Why does he have to do something worse?
I think everyone thinks that's not good. No one said, "Oh, it's fine."
I think that it's a little lessened of a penalty to be like, he cheated. Like, granted though, I heard he cheated on numerous times. I've heard certain situations where Coretta has gotten phone calls when he was out on the road and she's picked up the phone of people calling him because, you know, he operated on the phone. Different things like that. His children, I've heard different accounts.
Wait. So what does that have to do with?
The point that, like you said, you brought up Martin Luther King as a good example of how he was, wait. Let me, because I want you to see the full picture. I want to hear it, yeah. You know how you said it needs to make sense in the Black people we support. The point I'm making is black, like Martin Luther King was a Black person. And this is not to negate anything he's brought to us as a society. Absolutely. He looks good on the outside, but you said it needs to make sense. We're supporting him. He's treating his woman and his children not good. So while that may not matter to you and what he does to the community, but you can't, as I'm going to say it matters to me because as Martin Luther King, like equality, this, and the third, you're not even giving your wife equality, because I know this because if a woman went out and cheated on Martin Luther King, oh God.
Wait. Well, I'm going to say two things.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of arrangement they had.
Husband and wife?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of arrangement.
See, now they don't know what type of arrangement they had. Because like I said, when men cheat on their women, it's lessened. But when women cheat on men.
But at the same time, you're here saying.
I'm here challenging you to say, you said that whenever we support Black people and they're a leader, it needs to make sense. All of Martin Luther King's story don't make sense. He was good to us in the public eye, was bad to his wife. Not to say bad.
Like he was beating her or something. You're saying it like you don't know their arrangement. That's what
it's not like he was beating her.
But wait, you know the FBI was the one who was pushing that story, right? Trying to discredit him.
The thing is, even if it was that, I've heard personal accounts of his children speaking of how he was as a father.
My point is that we're playing into the FBI's hand by saying, oh, let's discredit Martin Luther King.
Well, we've been playing to the FBI's hands because we accredit the FBI to killing Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. We can't say so we've been playing on the FBI's hands. They've been tuned in.
I'm just...
Like I said,
maybe emotionally, I'm not ready to go there.
Yeah, I don't think you are, to accept that your good old leader, Martin Luther King, was actually be somewhat bad.
I have a lot of critiques of Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King is the main reason we integrate. I think integration wasn't the best. I think we needed to, I'm more like with Malcolm X than Martin Luther King.
I think that Martin Luther King played a good part in equality for African Americans, but I think that
we never got equality.
Exactly, and that's to say we never integrated. We only did this makeshift integration when white people were ready.
We integrated, but we didn't get the equality.
No, we never integrated.
Well, we got permission to be in their space.
Exactly, that's not integration.
No, we did. You're right. It wasn't integration; it was desegregation. We got desegregation, not integration. That's what.
And the thing is, I don't even want to say it's desegregated, because even when they were allowed, we were allowed in our space. It's so funny how they come up with special education classes and the gifted and talented and all that type of stuff when we're allowed in their space. Right. So I don't even think it was desegregation, because they found another way to segregate us.
Listen, that's a part of it, for sure.
Yeah. It's deep. I know you said you was wrapping up, and I know you can't.
No, but here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Like, what are we gonna? So leadership. That's what we were talking about. That's one thing we don't have, right? Right. For the most part, white people don't need leadership because they just go with the government and everything that they're doing, right? Latinos, they're catching up, so they're doing fine. And I think African Americans are in a unique position. And we do have leaders, I'm not trying to say that, but we're in a unique position because I always model us to the Jewish community. And I say that because the Jews, they figured out how to consolidate their power, how to work together.
You mean after their killings in their Holocaust is actually called a Holocaust? That's a whole nother conversation. No, we're not equal to the Jews.
I didn't say we're equal.
Well, you say that you equate.
No, I said I model after.
So you see it as a similar situation. It's not a similar situation, because the problem with critical race theory is that white people can't even accept that they did this to Black people. Slavery is not even acknowledged, and that's why we'll never get reparations. Why it's different is because the Holocaust, they have national museums around. We got our first museum in DC, 3 years ago? United African American. Right. We didn't know.
So it's a different situation.
Yes.
Because they had more support and we don't.
Yes, to this day.
But what I'm saying is we have to do something. And what I'm saying we have to do is we have to come up with a plan and work together on that plan. You cannot just follow Cardi B and Michael Jordan and just support their products and think that's going to help the race.
I agree.
You know, Jay-Z's buying liquor, Jordan makes sneakers, and Cardi B is making ratchet music. Like, you can't just.
That whole sentence was a stereotype that I did not like.
What do you mean stereotype? It's true.
Jay-Z is doing more than making liquors. Cardi B is doing more than making ratchet music. And I forget the other person you said.
Michael Jordan selling sneakers.
Is he not even just selling sneakers?
But here's my point. You can't just say I'm supporting Black and give your money to those projects.
I don't think that's not the solution. And the people that you heard say that, I've never heard that.
All right, this is what I'm saying.
And the thing is, if we don't support just because they're Black, when will they ever get the support they need to make it somewhere? What if somebody said to you, what if I came on this podcast and I said to you, like, oh yeah, like I looked up your YouTube, you don't have a lot of followers, but it's like, you know what? I came here to support because, like you said, you need to start, we need a chance. Yes, Cardi B has made it to that level, but if she never put herself out there making that ratchet music and we never supported the ratchet music, no matter what level she is, how is Black people going to get the chance that you're saying that we need? It's a repetitive cycle. Why are we not like, okay, if she make ratchet music, that's her.
Listen, if Cardi B came to me tomorrow and said, let's work on a project, I would say yes.
But tell her you said that you wouldn't support her because she's already up there and she makes ratchet music.
You make ratchet music.
What makes it ratchet?
There's a 14-year-old girl out there who's repeating these things and getting the wrong messages from these things.
No, that's when it's for her parent to describe what these messages is going on in this music.
Well, I don't necessarily blame the artists for everything that has happened in the music industry, but the artist has a role, and I believe in accountability.
Yeah, accountability is a thing, but just because I'm accountable for it doesn't mean that it's wrong. Just because I'm 20, if I'm 30 singing about shaking my ass and your 14-year-old is listening, that is your problem because something you're doing and again, I said to you, you didn't answer. What makes it ratchet?
So here's the thing. The podcast that I'm doing, it's trying to show a full picture.
Yeah.
And the reason why I call it ratchet is because I don't think I think more can be done to show fuller pictures, to give holistic messages and not just, you know what I'm saying?
Do you listen to Cardi B's music?
I feel like we could spend another hour on this Cardi B piece because I do feel strongly as well.
It's not even
I'm
about
not
that.
saying I don't want to silence Cardi B. I'm just saying
It's not that I feel like
I think all artists, all urban artists, all Black artists who make hip hop music with profanities and all of these kinds of things, they have to do more. I don't think they've done enough.
And
I'm saying the music just kind of, it has this tint to it where it's like, I don't want to play it for my kids. You know, I don't want to play it for my kids. And if I hear my kids hearing it, I have to talk to them about like, hey, you got to be careful with this. Hey, because it's not giving a full picture. And to me, I don't
Cardi B's song Bodak Yellow doesn't give a full picture of how she started as a stripper and then made her way up. And now she doesn't strip anymore because she's at that level. Granted, and I know you're like, oh, she stripped. Some people have to do that to get out of the situation that they are.
I don't fault
So
people
there's
for
her
stripping.
full picture. Her first album was about her full life of what she faced in New York growing up, how she had to strip, provide for her sister and her mom. But because it's not good enough for your kids to listen to, she doesn't provide the full picture.
That's not it. There's this undertone of celebrating vulgarity. It's an undertone. So
who marked it as vulgar? What makes Black people music vulgar compared to white people music who sings about the same thing?
To be honest with you, I'm on your side. I'm just talking about the undertone. There's some of an undertone there, and we have to agree that undertone. Here's the thing, right? Like Jay-Z's, if you ask me, like
what type of music you think I listen to?
Wait, hold on. If you ask me about Jay-Z's music is the perfect example of giving a holistic picture. As much as he talks about
Jay-Z's music, the same music that was back in the day when he talked about making a drug baby, cause I'm a thug all day. Is that him or
that's
no?
Not him.
Who is that?
That's
no, he got another song that's catchy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no. Sorry guys, I was wrong about that song.
No, yeah, that's
but Jay-Z who talks about Marcy, thank you. Living in the projects, making a sale.
Exactly. So
what's the difference between him doing it and Cardi B doing it?
So here's the thing. Jay-Z sold drugs. He made music talking about how he sold drugs, but he gave you the full picture, running from the cops, my mom crying, accidentally shooting people. You know, I knew I was selling drugs to my mom. It was hard for me. I did this because I had no alternative. Like, that's a holistic picture. It's different. We're like, oh, I like to shake my ass, and not giving the holistic picture. And you're right. Maybe I don't know Cardi B's music well enough, but what I'm saying is, I think there's an undertone of irresponsibility.
This
sorry.
Is changing.
I'm
so
sorry.
What music artists do you think
I'm not saying I don't play Cardi B. I'm not saying she doesn't have good songs. I'm saying when we talk about messages to the youth, if you were to listen to Jay-Z's body of work, I think it gives a good picture about
so now
entrepreneurship.
It's the artist's fault about what your children pick up and your children learn.
It affects adults. It's not just children.
That, oh, let me have a better grasp on what my children are listening to, whether it's in my presence or not. It's the artist's fault because she didn't provide the full picture. And I also would like to say,
listen,
wait. And this is why I say I like to challenge people's mind. It's not because I think that you're against me or anything like that. I really would like to challenge your mind. What I do want to say, and you may be like, you thinking that there's undertones and ratchetness, and the fact that ratchetness is even a word, is that white supremacy, because that lets you know that white people's music, Iggy Azalea has the same life almost as Cardi B, but because, first of all, people don't really know her story.
Issues with her too.
The thing is, though, you should not have issues, because just because the artist doesn't provide a full picture doesn't make you think that you have the right to judge. And wait, I say that because I've asked you numerous times, what music do you think I listen to? I consider myself a knowledgeable person. I can pronunciate. I can hold a table at any table you put me in a conversation with anyone in the room. My favorite artist is Megan Thee Stallion, who talks about shaking her ass, but because you don't know the full picture, her mom and grandmom died, and she just graduated from Texas Southern University, and she got to fund her degree by shaking her ass and recording music. We're in a different generation. We need to shake some ass to make some money. And the thing is, if we do, it's not looked at. Okay, then. But the thing is, though, it needs to be known.
Needing to shake their ass to make money is not
and again, it's not just Black women. I say, to put another pin in that, Black women, I know we're talking about Megan and Cardi B, but again, it's the standard. Black women are not the only people who shake their ass to make some money. And again, if they did,
I'm not mad
what
at
is
them.
wrong with that?
I'm not mad.
It seems like you are, because it's like they don't tell the full picture. They just get on radio and start shaking them ass, and then it doesn't explain it to my kids. What your kids learn is your responsibility. If they hear Cardi B, it's okay. They heard Cardi B when they were in the car with their friends. You let them go with their friends. They heard the music.
I agree. Everything you're saying, I agree with. This all started with me saying we should support Black.
And it went from me saying, I provided Martin Luther King as an example, and remember you said you're not ready to side with that. So then you brought up Cardi B and everyone, and I'm saying to you, you sat here and said on this podcast, guys, that we need to support each other as a community. The Black needs to stick together, but the minute that the Black makes it a little bit higher, and you're saying that, oh, Cardi B, she's already up there for one, and two, we're gonna support her just because she's Black, bro. I am rooting for everyone who's Black. Yes, even if there's a contest on who sells crack different. White people sell crack, and we know that. I'm gonna go to the Black man. We're in different times. You can't do that. We're in different times. Our means of making money is different. We have Bitcoin. You can't be here and willing to talk about Bitcoin, but when I say the generational times has moved up and things that we acknowledge, it's different.
All right.
It's different. It's you can't accept Bitcoin.
I want to backpedal a little bit.
Accept Martin Luther King as being a sub. I think that if I say Martin Luther King wasn't a good person, y'all might be like, she's sacrilegious. Only because it's like, y'all look at him he
had extramarital relationships. That's all we know. You cannot say he abused and mistreated his family because he had extramarital relationships.
Extramarital relationships isn't emotional abuse to the woman. Oh, okay. To anyone who cheats. Oh, okay. Again, I guess we just got to leave Martin Luther King alone because you don't want to accept it. He just cheated. You said it wasn't like he beat her. What do you got to beat the shit out of her to be like, oh yeah, he's a bad person? No, it's not to say Martin Luther King was or wasn't a bad person. But like you said, we can't support Black people. You said that it has to make sense. Literally to this point, as of right now, it can seem sense why you support Martin Luther King, but
all right. What does that change about Martin Luther King?
It doesn't change any of my thoughts towards Martin Luther King. It's to negate your thought of just because Black people are Black, we can't. I'm challenging you to say you support Martin Luther King a lot, and his shit don't make sense.
If you go to my Spotify, Cardi B's there.
I'm so sorry to say this, but you're sounding white. It sounds like that white person be like, I have Black friends. Okay, Cardi B's on your. Just because you're listening to her music, you're supporting her. But you bashed her on your podcast because say she listened to this and she'd be like, oh, you say I'm ratchet. Cardi, if he said that she was ratchet, don't say that now. Don't say that now.
That's what I'm
saying.
I need to backpedal.
You gotta explain it to your people in your podcast.
You're making it sound like I'm saying she's an abomination to the race. I did not go that far. Here's what I'm saying. Anyone who has 100 million listeners has a responsibility, a big responsibility. And if all your songs are predominantly in one direction, like you can their responsibility is to live their life and whatever they record. Bro, that's the same thing as pastors. Cardi B is a music artist. She's held to more responsibility. Oh, but a pastor who cheats and does a congregation wrong is not. Absolutely, the pastor also has a responsibility.
But I'm saying to you that it is not an artist's responsibility in what music that they make because you think it's an abomination to how kids may grow up.
Wait. In free speech, you're right. Remember, in the context of what I'm saying, as an artist, Cardi B has a responsibility because there are girls out there who's dropping out of high school to be a stripper.
And that's not Cardi B's fault.
There's girls out there who's being empowered to explore sexually because the music.
And what the hell is wrong with that?
Instead of focusing on school. You get what I'm saying, right? The music
No, I get what you're saying. I don't agree
puts
with
these
it.
ideas out there instead of sending
But
messages.
Jay-Z's music about how he had to sell drugs was okay though, right?
I think Jay-Z.
Woo! Woo! Jay-Z's music is okay though, right?
We have.
Oh yeah, yup. See, this is what I'm saying.
Song. It's not me saying, "Oh, this song is in."
You're right. It's just the fact that you're negating two artists to say that Jay-Z tells trash stories too.
But if we took 10 of Jay-Z's singles and look at them, you could see, oh, here he's talking about the struggle. Here he's, and I'm saying when you look at 10 of Cardi B's singles,
no. Let's go back to your example. It doesn't matter, but let's go back to your example. Say that a young boy who's in high school is listening to Jay-Z talking about going and selling drugs and he dropped out of high school. Where's that responsibility or accountability that if you're gonna say that Cardi B's music is really hurting the generation, say that all the artists' music is hurting. You can't stick up for Jay-Z, but then be like, damn, Cardi B. It's really sounding like you don't like female equality. Oh, and if you don't like that, wow. we could get into it, or you gotta let the channel know, because it's you can't say that.
I do think my comments can be perceived the way you're saying. So I want to acknowledge what you're saying and saying that is an aspect. Your perception is relevant, and I'm not trying to denounce it. I'm just trying to speak from the sense of moving forward as a race.
And that's my whole point. This mindset, like, not to be
it trips rude, people up.
It's tripping our whole world up, that people have this mentality that, one, why the fuck can't I be why can't I be in high school and focus on my grades and shaking my ass? And the thing is,
come on. I told you, when I was in Jamaica high school, there were girls looked like they were going to the club.
And
the full hair, the eye, they were sexual minded. It was a distraction.
That's not a distraction to you. That you to them. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
They were trying to get the ball.
Did they graduate high school?
Not all of them.
Okay, but they did though.
Not all of them.
They did though. It was distracting to you.
No, I'm not saying I was.
Yes, you were. You remember what they wear since the 80s. You were distracted. It took your attention from your schooling.
Come on, be real with me. You know those girls.
Those girls, you're not sounding good. You're not sounding good.
Wow. You got me.
Those girls.
You got me.
Damn.
You got me.
Not gonna tell it like it is. I might as well wrap it up. Let me. All right, guys.
Yeah. Go ahead.
As you see, we had a good conversation, but there's more to talk about because.
Yeah.
People will bring back for part 2.
What are we gonna do? All right. So
part of it is your generation, honestly, moving on from this mindset that girls can't. Bro, I
you don't see any issue.
No.
With WAP and all these songs.
No, because for one,
no issue with that being on the radio and that being perpetuated and all. You don't see that having an impact on young women. No.
Baby, when we're grinding, I get so excited. You know,
those songs weren't good either.
But WAP is a problem. The point I'm making is those songs were still out when you were children, but our generation is the problem. The problem that your generation needs to get out.
It did not start.
The problem that y'all need, the generation needs to get out, is pocket watching our generation. Bro, it is not the artist's responsibility. And if it is, why do you allow Jay-Z and not Cardi B and any other woman who shakes her ass? Those same women were shaking their ass for Jay-Z that you like.
They're both allowed.
Loud? What the fuck is wrong with black women being loud?
They're both allowed, I said.
Allowed, okay. So I thought you said loud.
Here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. We have to take accountability. If your kid's listening to Jay-Z, you still have to have a conversation.
Yes.
If your kid's listening to Cardi B, you still have to have the conversation. Literally. I'm not saying, oh, your kid can listen to Jay-Z at any age.
When you started talking about your high school and how those girls were dressed, you assimilated that to the whole thing of how women get, what did you use? Disturbed by their sexual things. Distracted. First of all, like I said, each situation.
Older guys. Those girls were dating older guys with cars. They were like Come on.
Back in
I know
that
what
time,
I'm saying.
yes, back in that time,
Yes,
there were different people doing different things that you weren't doing. Let's
right.
just say that.
But
You
it
looked at
hasn't changed. I want you to continue. It hasn't changed. There's still high school girls out there who's dressing sexy with the Gucci purse, going to school, and after school they dating older men. And the music is empowering that.
If that is the life they choose to live, what is wrong with that? Literally, if that's the life they choose to live.
We're talking about moving ahead as a community.
Yeah.
We need you to.
Just because somebody was a stripper before doesn't mean that they can change their life.
But you don't have to be a stripper now.
Or
go
anyone.
to public school. Read.
How do you know somebody don't have to be a stripper now? I'm gonna tell you right now.
You don't have to be a stripper.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
If you don't have kids as a teenager
and
you go to school, you don't have to be a stripper. There's no need.
Finish. If you go to school, you don't have to be a stripper.
Thank you.
No, that's what you're saying.
Yes.
Y'all, he said if you go to school, you don't have to be a stripper.
There's no need to be a stripper right now. There's no need. Unless you have like kids at a young age or something like that, there's no need for you to be a stripper. Finish your education, find something you're good at. And if it's dancing, be a dancer. But you don't have to be a stripper. And when someone is glorifying that lifestyle, it puts the wrong messages out there. And we have to really be honest about that. Selling drugs is fast money. Stripping is fast money. And we don't need anyone to glorify fast money. And there's too much of that in the Black community. We're good at basketball. We don't need those messages anymore. We need music that's gonna tell us to go to school, go to Yale, go to Harvard, go get an education, go to an HBCU. Like, we don't need music to tell us to strip. We already know that. I know you agree with me.
No, I don't.
I know you do.
Let me just say that off the record.
You kind of just like.
No, not at any point. Because the thing is, sometimes the artist is not.
Has Megan Thee Stallion, her messages, is there any part of her content that you think is not uplifting?
Is there any part? I'm not going to say that because like I said to you, it's a part of the generational thing is we need to stop pocket watching and judging.
All right. So if I judged Cardi B, if I judged anyone and their style of music or anyone who likes their music, I want to backtrack, apologize. I don't want to judge the music. You
want to judge the person. I've
seen the impact, right? When you hear music from so-and-so, it makes you think, oh, I can make music like so-and-so and be an artist like so-and-so. You hear this music, you think, oh, I don't have to listen to my mom. I can wear provocative clothes and.
Okay, and to challenge your mind, what is wrong with that?
Now you have men looking at you.
It's that ideology.
Like
maybe it's the men of the world. What if literally one of the girls you went to school with literally wanted to dress like that because she liked it?
Yes, she liked it, but why? Because it gets her that attention.
Maybe it doesn't. It's a harsh reality, but a lot of women nowadays don't do shit for the help of males. Oh, she dressed like that because she liked the attention. I dress a lot of ways because it's not because I want attention. I want to do shit for myself. Like I just said to you, I don't believe in America's capitalism, but I want to attain that degree for myself.
Right.
That's the same ideology. Not everything that women do are to have a reaction. Oh God, this is a whole nother podcast on women's rights because it's not everything women do want a reaction. Sometimes somebody might say to me, "Sydney, you're underdressed for this podcast." Okay, I wore what I wanted.
You wear what you want to. Listen,
literally the same idea. She wears what she wants to wear.
Here's my main thing. Women can wear what they want to wear, but here's what I'm saying. I think that ass shaking, makes young girls start twerking. And as these girls are twerking and booty and whatever, they're getting that attention from guys. And on Instagram, it's a problem.
You know what's so
underage
funny?
girls
You know
in
what's
their
so funny?
underwear twerking
For
like
one,
for likes.
for
You know
one-
it's a problem,
for
and you know
one,
you're concerned.
The thing is, though, whether I find it a problem or not, that is not for me to judge. You don't know why she's shaking her ass. And two,
Well, I'm not
I
here
would
to
like to
judge
say that
people. I'm
twerking
talking about
and shaking ass started as a historical ritual
Black,
for
that's
us.
right.
So, for one, let's go back to that. And two, if a girl is shaking her ass, what is wrong with that? Like, it's crazy how in America, in order for a girl to shake her ass, it's like, well, she better be doing what she got to do in school, because shaking her ass. I've stayed in school my whole life and not shaking my ass, and look at where it leads me. So since you don't, like, you don't. No, it's not to judge. Stop judging everyone's
I did not
story.
want to judge. This is not about individual stories. Okay?
Well, it is if we're talking about brother individualism and how people make their way up. We just talked about a world that is unfit for African Americans and how we have to get a sector of our own. But because someone else provides a sector of their own, which is shaking ass, it's a problem. Oh, okay. You need to dismantle yourself from the same system we're talking about.
I'm going to go back to where we were. I'm saying we cannot just randomly support people automatically because they're Black. If our goal is to move forward as a race, we have to do projects that are going to help the race move forward.
That's judging.
Umar Johnson, he opened the school.
Oh no, we're done. We're done. God, no, we're done. If you're quoting Umar Johnson as an example,
he opened the school.
No, I don't want him as an example or what he did. He is the epitome of toxic masculinity. Oh God, no, guys, we're done. Have a great day. I love. Okay, I loved being on here. It was a great opportunity. This is where I stop because he's naming Dr. Umar Johnson as an example.
In Philadelphia.
I'm glad I was here.
Thank you for joining us. It was definitely a different episode.
Yeah. I think this is your most different episode because we started as like a unison thing and we branched off. I definitely do think so. I don't want to leave this thinking it's like any ill intent for the camera.
I get it. Yeah.
No, it's just, it got too deep for me.
I know that Umar is a polarizing figure. I know he has some views. I know he has some views, but all I'm trying to say is he put into action. He opened the school. So I'm saying Cardi B could open up 100 schools. So Jay-Z could open up 100 schools. You know how you said to Michael Jordan could open 1,000 schools. Yeah. So if they had a little bit of what Umar had and opened schools, we would be on the go. No, we need schools. We need schools.
No, because again, with that judging and pocket watching, it ain't for you to sit here and say what I'm gonna do with my money. I can say right now, you said we need people to open the schools. You said we need people to open the schools.
I'm mad at Michael Jordan because he didn't open the school. I'm saying people with money should open schools to help.
You do not have a say on what people with their money should do.
We're talking about to move forward.
No, we don't just need help with schools. And people with money, you shouldn't just be proud of them because they started a school. And the thing is,
and scholarships.
People like Umar Johnson have started a school with his dumb ideologies that he's continuing on in those kids that he started in that school. That's the problem. You say, oh, Cardi B, listening to her music, she can continue that ideology.
So who's worse, Cardi B or Umar?
Umar. Yeah. Umar. Because Umar Johnson is upholding that same capitalism he's saying break away from.
I know
when Black people realize that when we start schools just for Black people, that's capitalism is too, because we're discriminating and not integrating the same system we want to break down. That's the part of capitalism that people need to understand. That's it. We can't participate. Well, the thing is, we can't participate in racism because you can't be racist to a system that was racist towards you and built on racism towards your race. But you can't say, I want to diminish this, but as soon as you get the opportunity to start a Black school, you want to send all Black people. I get it. But you can't say we want to diminish the system when you're not even integrating the system, which we never got. You can't do that. You can't be like, yes, I want to change. But when it comes to your race, perpetuate the cycle. You can't do that. No, we want to. Should I want to? This may be the most explicit thing I ever said, but if we had the opportunity
Jews have their school. Germans, they come here, they open school.
Okay.
French have a school, right? you're here saying critical race theory
Yes.
needs to be taught.
First of all, I think that that's a horrible. No. I think that that's
Catholic
a horrible.
have a school. Like, why can't?
The thing is, we did have a school in Trenton. There was a school called African People's Action. But people don't know about that because obviously when you ask me about Trenton, they equate it to being bad. But no, that was a great school in Trenton, African People's Actions. And it's like to say, yes, we do have our schools and we do need our schools, but it's to say that we cannot seriously think that we can dismantle a system if we keep participating in it. Yes, like
I don't know if people want to dismantle.
We just talked about dismantling white supremacy and
yes, but
and
not capitalism, right? Like,
and that's why I said at the beginning of this video, capitalism is tricky because you only dislike capitalism if you can't join it. When you start a school, you're becoming a part of capitalism, and that's
if you
when
start a business, you're becoming a part of capitalism.
Yeah.
If you apply for a job, you're a part of capitalism.
Well,
if you get
welfare, you're participating in the system. Yeah, definitely.
If you drive on the road, you're part of capitalism. But
like we said, there's different aspects of capitalism, and when you start a business or you're starting a school, you're opening up a different sector of capitalism, and that's what I'm saying. You cannot dismantle or get rid of this. You can't be tired of it. Okay, they don't want to dismantle it. You can't
want to restructure.
Okay,
you're not restructuring. To educate people so they can learn how to restructure it.
Okay,
that sounds good. Come on. I don't think you like to be wrong.
It's not about being wrong because I can agree with you that we do need.
Come on, there's some things there.
Oh, you only want me to be wrong about the Cardi B?
You just made it like, oh no, don't say anything about Cardi B.
No, it's not even about Cardi B. I gave another example of Megan Thee Stallion. Name another female artist. I can keep going. It don't even have to be female. It could be anyone. Exactly.
Like, let me name a guy.
Like, why'd you let me sing Trick Daddy song and that was okay? But then when I said
no. Let me name a guy who
Jay-Z, you did name one, but you're not taking the accountability that he too influences the youth just like Cardi B does. And that if you're gonna find Cardi B a problem, Jay-Z's a problem too.
To me, there's a difference.
Oh God. What, he not raunchy? Yep, exactly. And the fact
that he explained himself. He gave a holistic
the fact
picture.
that you even consider Cardi B's music, her not explaining herself, is the continuation of that white supremacy because I say my words a certain way, I'm not explaining myself. The standard of how we explain ourselves and how we talk is white standard.
Yeah, I got my foot in my mouth. You got me.
I'm glad I got you.
Yeah,
Kinda.
thank you.
Not
yeah,
really. But this is what I want to do. Like, people need to take even me. Like, so, there are people who bring ideas to me. So there's nothing about
Cardi B that you would like to do better or address or
because that's not for me to say. There's shit that people won't watch this podcast and say I can do better. They gonna probably listen to all this and be like, I still don't see how she not trying, like she still ended up here, she ain't trying hard enough. But that's not for me or them or me to validate. You don't know my story. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, Cardi, now that you've made money or you need it, like, no. That's like, if you think that, then Kim Kardashian just needs to not be a celebrity, if that's what you think, because she don't even make money. Like, she don't even make music. That was the M's, I got tripped up, like Cardi B, but she made that sex tape, and to this day, her daughter says, Mom, why are you pregnant? Why not pregnant? What's your story? Why are you famous? Why are you famous? Do you look at that whole Kardashian system as a problem? No, because they're not raunchy. Because they fit that white supremacy stereotype of being cute and this and this and this. But as soon as a Black woman comes and explain her life, is she raunchy? She this, she that. And then they look at us as a diversity hire. Oh, we love, bro, it's so crazy because people make fun of Cardi B, but then we'll bring Black people like Cardi B or Cardi B, girl, teach us how to twerk. Girl, teach us how to do this. No. I urge everyone to take a deeper self look in and don't think that I do.
Right? I think some people, I think a part of the Cardi B persona perpetuates the monolith that's holding Black people back. So that's being projected out. So now there's one issue of the internalization.
What about the stripper who stripped her way through college?
There's an internalization of Cardi B among the Black community, and there's also the perpetuation of Black stereotypes by Cardi B. Like, so when Cardi B is projecting the Black stereotypes, that's the person receiving it fault, right? They're the ones who's absorbing that, and that's their fault. I'm not saying Cardi B should change.
How is Cardi B projecting Black stereotypes?
And what I'm saying, like you're saying, people will ask Cardi B to twerk.
Twerking is a Black stereotype?
Yes. Oh, you Black, you should twerk. You twerk, right? You Black.
I
Of
may
course
agree
it
with
is.
you on that a little bit.
All I'm saying is we have to be mindful of the messages we're putting out there.
No.
And we have to be.
Then if that's the
Because
case, we should have
that's
never talked in this
perpetuating
whole
a power.
podcast, because we need to be mindful of the things we
We
put out in
are.
the
We
world.
have been.
No, we haven't. I cursed. I said F. You may edit it out, but think about it.
No.
This whole perspective, think about this. This whole perspective we're thinking about, talking about white critical race theory, someone in the white world can watch this and say, I don't need my kid to watch this because you're getting in their mind.
Absolutely.
So that's what I'm saying. It's a personal point of view, and no one deserves the right to judge, because you would feel some type of way if somebody was judging your art.
I do agree with that. So
what about
saying,
artists who paint
with that.
raunchy pictures because it's an art and piece of art? People praise it, but because she like it's giving, it doesn't make sense.
Right, I'm gonna. You got me though.
Like, and then it's like, bro, I don't even want to get back on the topic of you saying what the girls were wearing to school. What the hell? So moving forward, community, we have to work together. I think that's the way. You just downed Cardi B, but
yes,
yeah, we gotta work together.
Cardi B can be a part of working together. Yes, if you look like Cardi B, you can work together. If your lifestyle is the same as what Cardi B perpetuates, you can be a part of that. All I'm saying is, let's work together. Let's move past the stereotypes and the fear and all of these things. And let's keep making efforts, having conversations, listening to each other, and being real. That's a big part of what this is, being real. And don't be afraid to misspeak. Yeah. Listen and get correction. Yeah. And acknowledge when you've misspoken.
Like I definitely agree. Like even me earlier, not knowing much about the Civil War, granted, when we leave, I am going to look up to say what I said was, but even in that context, I definitely agree. It's about the accountability and moving forward, because I can say there are even that people part of your generation that are not even willing to have this conversation to take accountability for us to even move forward. And I know from this generation standing point of view, we appreciate that, because that is what helps us to change things. Because what if one of your kids be like, I want to be a rapper, and you had this conversation with me and you're just like,
don't perpetuate stereotypes. Tell them the full picture. Try to give, an unbiased view of whatever it is your music is. Don't just make music to make money. Make music that is holistic. Make music that speaks to your experiences and the Black experience, the way you experience it.
But Cardi B's music speaks to her experiences and you still look down at her for it. Guys,
you got me.
It's been a good day.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this. You're welcome.